62%. Chapter 301 Xiao Bicha, do you think you can survive with this trump card? I saw the three supreme powerhouses from Tomorrow City all attacking the wicker cage at the same time. Lu Ruoxian's expression was calm, and his hands formed a seal. Heavenly law shaping earth, 3,000 divine kingdoms. In the echo of these few words, Lu Ruoxian's figure instantly appeared above the wicker cage, and the vast 10,000 Lu true essence swept across the world like a tsunami. A phantom of a willow tree measuring thousands of feet in size appeared in the void like a god descending into the world, and every willow leaf bloomed with bright light. It's like one leaf in one world. 3,000 phantoms of the kingdom of God surrounded the willow law manifestation, and an indescribable power suddenly descended. Even in this moment, Luo Yulian and Liang Bing both locked their eyes on Master Qingju, and when their cultivation levels exploded, they turned into an afterimage and shot out. Exterminating the Great Witch, you dare to come here to restrain her alone. I have to admire your courage. Xiao Bicha, you should go to hell. At the same time as the words came out, Luo Yulian and Liang Bing also used divine ability, and in an instant they attacked Master Qingju. Next moment, accompanied by the roaring explosion, the 10 miles of heaven and earth covered by the wicker cage exploded like a bubble at this moment. When the three major supremes, Tomorrow City and Korean Star, divine ability collide with Sanchin divine kingdom. It turned out that it only annihilated half of the opponent's divine kingdom phantom, and the divine ability displayed by itself completely collapsed and dissipated. Even the other half of the phantom of the kingdom of God still carries destructive power. Blast towards their three supremes. This scene. Their pupils shrank violently, and their words echoed in the sky and earth with extremely sharp voices. This is impossible. A weak man at the first level of Supreme faced three strong men at the second level of Supreme, and he still tried his best. He actually used a divine ability spell to blast the attacks of the three of them. Isn't this too outrageous? When the understanding in their hearts was completely subverted, Tomorrow City and others were able to display divine ability again and completely resist this phantom of the kingdom of God. Also at this moment, the shrill screams of Master Qingju also rang out from heaven to earth. You little maid, you still can't kill me. I saw Master Qingju colliding with Liang Bing and Luo Yulian. Not only was his left arm turned into a mist of blood by the two of them, but Luo Yulian also slapped his chest. A bloody arrow spurted out of his mouth. But in the next moment, a piece of jade pendant appeared in front of her. As the power of the moon and blood entered, the jade pendant burst out with bright brilliance. Vast yin qi swept across the world, and a black snake with 8 heads roared towards Luo Yulian and Liang Bing. That kind of destructive power fluctuation, even the strongest in the Supreme 5th level, can't help but feel afraid at this time. The Supreme level demon soul attacks the jade pendant. This old witch actually has such a trump card. Seeing the figure of the 8-headed snake coming to kill, Luo Yulian's expression instantly became solemn. She couldn't take advantage of the opponent's trump card. Xiao Bicha, do you think you can survive with this trump card? When Luo Yulian was about to use divine ability. As Liang Bing's words echoed in the world, the endless darkness overturned the world like a frenzy, and the demonic shadows also rushed towards the black snake. The roar shook the world again. The void has completely collapsed into nothingness, and destructive power continues to surge. Saint King strong men around. Whether it was Feng Qishuan, Huo Xuanshang, or the powerful men from the 4 major forces, they could only retreat to the edge of the battlefield. He crazily mobilized his cultivation to resist the impact of this fighting, and looked at this fighting with extremely horrified eyes. After my sister-in-law left, Aunt Chin quietly came to the ward to comfort me, saying that I helped her a lot by borrowing money last time, and she planned to work as a maid in my house when she had time, which made me very confused. And under the gaze of everyone, the 8-headed black snake phantom was torn into pieces by thousands of demonic figures. Liang Bing was filled with demonic energy, and his figure rushed out again. When Supreme's power shook the world, he raised his hand and grabbed Master Qingju. No, impossible. Seeing that her trump card, which could threaten Supreme's 5th level, was actually blasted by Liang Bing, who only had Supreme's 4th level cultivation. Master Qingju's pupils shrank sharply, and he rushed towards Tomorrow City and others. Help me. But when she rushed out, the terrifying demonic energy has filled the world, making the space around her seem to be solidified, and her body became extremely slow at this moment. Liang Bing's right hand condensed the terrifying power of demonic energy, and he grabbed Master Qingju's heart. No! In a horrified roar, Master Qingju burst out with his cultivation in a crazy way, trying to block Liang Bing's terrifying blow. But she was already seriously injured at this time, and her cultivation level was still 2 levels lower than Liang Bing's, and the opponent could even leapfrog the level to fight. After the body protecting essence was exploded on the spot, her heart was also pierced by the cold ice. The destructive power poured into Master Qingju's body, instantly destroying her internal organs and completely cutting off the vitality of her body. Destroy my physical body, and when the powerful men from my Taiyan sect come, all of you will definitely die. He looked down at the pierced chest and felt the vitality of his body disappear. Master Qingju decisively abandoned this body at this time, and the Supreme Soul turned into a wisp of smoke and rushed out of the sea of consciousness. The words roared with venom. Old witch, let me change your body. Just when Master Qingju wanted to escape with his soul body, Luo Yulian's soft voice echoed between heaven and earth. A doll suddenly floated towards Master Qingju, and the surrounding world was completely blocked. A terrifying suction force erupted from the doll. This made Master Qingju feel extremely desperate. Who are you? How dare you destroy the body of my Taiyan sect elder? And when Master Qingju screamed hysterically, his soul was about to be swallowed by that doll. Following a cold and biting voice, it exploded in the void like thunder. The whole world suddenly shook. A sword light with a destructive aura spread across the sky and earth like a thundering giant, and struck hard on the wicker cage. Amidst the roar and explosion, a hole was cut in the wicker cage, and the sword light went straight towards Luo Yulian. A sudden sword strike. Luo Yulian's expression changed, and he had to give up suppressing Master Qingju. He took back the doll when his cultivation level exploded. The figure flashed to the side. A ray of sword light passed between her and Master Qingju, and finally struck the ground of 10,000 demons Hanyuan. A terrifying sword mark nearly 1,000 feet long and bottomless was cut into the ground. This is really troublesome. After dodging this terrifying sword light, Luo Yulian and Liang Bing looked into the void with solemn expressions. At this time, Lu Ruoxian also removed the cage that blocked the world. The figure flashed beside the two of them, and they stood in front of the dragon chariot again. To be able to cut through her divine ability blockade with one sword, his cultivation level should be above the 4th level of Supreme. The three of them joined forces. Although he can suppress the lame Supremes like Master Qingju, but against the strong late-stage players in the Supreme realm, he might be in crisis. When Lu Ruoxian and others looked, a white-haired woman appeared in the sky. At first glance, the figure was still 20 miles away. But as the woman took a step, the void seemed to be squeezed. The next moment he appeared in this void battlefield. A supreme coercion that was far more terrifying than Master Qingju and the others, instantly collapsed towards the surroundings like a collapse of the sky. Supreme 5th level powerhouse. After feeling the cultivation aura surging on each other's bodies, Lu Ruoxian and Luo Yulian's expressions became extremely solemn. I didn't expect Master Qingju, an old witch, to be able to persuade such a strong man to come over. It seems the situation will be reversed next. 63%. Chapter 302. When they fully grow up, the 4 major forces will be destroyed. Master, help me kill those cheap maids, they actually destroyed my body. Seeing this white-haired woman, Master Qingju condensed her soul body and spoke in an extremely spiteful voice. That's right. The woman who just appeared in front of her was her master, Wangqing Shite, and the second elder of the Taiyan sect. The cultivation base has reached the peak of Supreme's 5th level, and may break through to Supreme's 6th level at any time. Even if one looks to the southern part of profound heaven, he is still a famous supreme powerhouse. Leave this Xiao Bicha to me. You can take care of the other few people. The problem is still. When Master Qingju spoke bitterly, Liang Bing glanced at Master Wangqing and spoke in a casual voice. Even though she is only at the 4th level of Supreme, she is the daughter of the Lord of the Abyss, and she once reached the 2nd level of the Emperor. She had no pressure at all against a strong player in the 5th level of Supreme. But before she finished speaking, her face seemed to sense something, and her face became serious at this moment. More than one is here. Almost as soon as her voice fell, the void began to vibrate again. I didn't expect that this time when Supreme's secret realm was opened, there would be external forces intervening. It surprised me. As these words echoed, an old man in blue also appeared. The whole body is filled with a terrifying aura of cultivation. This person is the 3rd elder of the Ming family, born in the Ming Han dynasty. His cultivation had just broken through to the Supreme 5th level in the past few years. He is also a famous supreme powerhouse in the southern part of profound heaven. Master Wangqing, old ghost Hanshang, I didn't expect you two to be here. I really don't want to be your enemy. As Ming Hansheng's figure emerged in the void, another old man descended into the cold abyss. This person is the fourth elder of Heavenly Sword Sect, Long Jianming. Although his cultivation has only reached the peak of the fourth level of Supreme, it is because of the special skills he cultivates, and he also has a Supreme high-quality AP. If the combat power is fully activated, even some powerful people in the Supreme 5th level will not have the guts to fight this guy to the end. I can sense the auras of you guys from so far away. It seems like we haven't fought each other for a long time. At the same time as Long Jianming's words fell, another voice sounded. An old man in gray clothes was surrounded by stars, and the distorted void descended into this void. This person is the third elder of Xingshan Pavilion, Chen Daofeng, whose cultivation has reached the Supreme 5th level late stage. But because Xingshan Pavilion can communicate with the power of stars, it can also condense terrifying formations with a raised hand, which is almost the top existence in the same level. Therefore, Chen Daofeng's real combat power is even stronger than some of the strongest men in the 5th Supreme realm. There are 3 Supremes at the 5th level and 1 Supreme at the 4th level. This is a bit difficult. Looking at the 4 Supreme powerhouses who suddenly arrived, Liang Bing couldn't help but muttered at this moment. Those who can cultivate to the Supreme level. Each of them is a monster who stands out from tens of millions of people, and most of them are old guys who have practiced for more than 1,000 or 2,000 years. Whether it is the foundation of cultivation or the actual combat experience, they are all far beyond ordinary people's imagination. So when you reach the level of the Supreme Realm, it will be very difficult to fight beyond the level. Let her leapfrog and deal with 2 or 3 Supreme powerhouses, and she is more or less sure that she can suppress them. But if you have to deal with 4 Supreme Masters at the same time, and 2 of them are close to the 6th level of Supreme, it will be a bit stressful. We will focus on defense and wait until Young Master and the others come out. We will then decide based on the situation. After hearing Liang Bing's words, Lu Ruoxian said in a low voice. Her cultivation level is only at the Supreme level. Even with her profound understanding of the laws, she still has the corresponding Emperor-level divine ability spells. At most, it can only unleash the Supreme 4th level combat power. So once a war breaks out, their group will be quite dangerous. Aunt Shin said that she can't pay the money now and can only repay it in other ways. If she doesn't want her to be a maid, she can make other demands. It doesn't matter if it's too much. Haha, all the people under my command who entered the secret realm are dead, and you guys are still thinking about chatting. Seeing that after she finished speaking with a vicious tone, Master Wangqing did not immediately attack Luo Yulian and others, but stared at these little maids with extremely solemn eyes. Master Qingju's soul was distorted, and she spoke to the others in a spiteful voice. What did you say? After hearing Master Qingju's words, not only Ming Hansheng, Chen Daofeng and others were shocked, but even Master Wangqing looked over with sharp eyes. Everyone from the major forces who entered the secret realm has died. Doesn't that mean that there is no way to bring out the relics of the supreme ancestors? This is how the same thing. When they were shocked in their hearts, Ming Hansheng, Chen Daofeng and others asked in a hurry. Ha ha ha, it's all the fault of these little bastards. Seeing that the attention of the Supreme Masters was finally drawn back, Master Qingju's soul was surging with black energy, and his words echoed with resentment and reluctance. When the Supreme Secret Realm opened, these little bastards sent a team of people to follow them into the Secret Realm. I thought that these minions would not be able to make any waves in the Secret Realm. I didn't expect. A quarter of an hour ago, the Saint Child, a saint under the command of several major forces, lost connection with us in soul mark perception, and it seems that they all died at the same time. Nothing seems to have happened to the men and horses of these little bastards, so we suspect that their people are causing trouble inside, which is why the men and horses of several major forces have perished. But just when we wanted to work together to capture one of them, we didn't expect the other 2 slaves to be hiding in the chariot. As soon as he took action, he caught us off guard, and even caused my body to be destroyed on the spot. As he said this, Master Qingju looked at Luo Yulian and others with great resentment, and the resentment filling his soul became more and more terrifying. This group of guys has already formed a grudge against our 4 major forces. If we don't join forces now to eradicate them, when they grow up completely, the 4 major forces will be destroyed. After these words were spoken, the expressions of Ming Hansheng and others changed, and they looked at their elders. Is everything she said true? Under the gazes of Ming Hansheng, Chen Daofeng and others, Tomorrow City and Han Xing both nodded and smiled bitterly. Those women are very powerful. Each one of them is able to leapfrog the competition. Even if we join forces, we are no match. As they spoke, the voices of several people became extremely sinister, and their bodies were filled with terrifying murderous intent. The talents of these women are extremely terrifying. If they are allowed to continue to grow, the four major forces will indeed be in trouble in the future. We must work together to kill him here to prevent future tragedies from happening. As these words fell, Master Wangqing, Ming Hansheng and others all looked at Lu Ruoxian and others. Murderous intentions also erupted in the void. Since they are enemies, they should be eliminated. Everyone, we have had some grudges before, but at this time, in order to ensure nothing goes wrong, we'd better put aside our grudges and join forces. In this way, we can completely kill these lily maids at the minimum cost. When the murderous intention is overwhelming, Master Wangqing's eyes were fixed on Liang Bing, and his cultivation aura erupted as his words echoed. I have no objection, old man. But after killing these people, I want that woman's body. After hearing Master Wangqing's words, Ming Hansheng raised his finger and pointed at Lu Ruoxian, and said in a somewhat naked voice. He could vaguely sense it. The body of the woman in front of her contained majestic vitality fluctuations. There is also a unique scent of vegetation on the body, which seems to be the spirit of vegetation transformed into human form. After the death of such a being, the body will be a treasure. Of course, if you can capture the opponent alive, this is undoubtedly the best. But this hope was too slim, so he could only choose to settle for the next best thing. These women are not simple. We should kill them first and then discuss other matters. After Ming Hansheng finished speaking, Chen Daofeng also saw the clues. Boom. But at this moment, when several powerful supreme men showed their murderous intent and were ready to attack Lu Ruoxian and others. As a roar suddenly exploded, the entrance to the secret realm trembled violently. Immediately afterwards, when everyone heard the sound and couldn't help but look over, the group of people were also spit out by the entrance to the secret realm. 63%. Chapter 303 Next, I will let you understand what fear is. What a risk, I finally picked up all the loot. After the group was forcibly sent out of the secret realm, Xiao Chen said with a happy smile. But before he finished speaking, he felt something was wrong around him. When he raised his head, only then did he realize that there were many figures standing in the void. The terrifying pressure and murderous intent made the world extremely depressing. What's the situation? With his eyes slightly focused, Xiao Chen glanced at everyone, with a look of surprise on his face. Look, before they came out, there seemed to be a war outside. However, after seeing that nothing happened to Lu Ruoxian and others, Xiao Chen couldn't help but breathe a sigh of relief. It's that little bastard and that bunch of little bastards. They actually came out of the secret realm alive. When Xiao Chen looked at everyone, Master Qingju said in a spiteful voice. Since they came out of the secret realm alive, it proves that the men and horses of the four major forces were killed by them, and the inheritance of the four supreme ancestors is also with them. As these two sentences fell, Tomorrow City, Han Xing and others are filled with murderous intent, and their energy is locked on Xiao Chen and others. Boy, what happened in the secret realm? Why are all the members of our four major forces dead, but you guys can come out alive? Also, are the inheritances of the four supreme ancestors all in your body? Finished. Tomorrow City, Han Xing and others all took a step forward, and Supreme's overwhelming power came crashing down, as if they wanted to give Xiao Chen and others a showdown. But that's it. As the space in front of Xiao Chen distorted, Lu Ruoxian and others also emerged. During the surge of true energy light, this coercion was blocked. Sir, next time, Liang Bing and I will stay here for a while, and let Yu Lian escort you away first. After coming to Xiao Chen's side, Lu Ruoxian didn't say anything, but said in a solemn voice. If a war breaks out in a while, it will be difficult for the three supremes to suppress Wangqing Shite and others. If these guys choose to attack Xiao Chen and others, the next situation will probably become very bad. Therefore, the top priority is to cover Xiao Chen and others' retreat first. No, it's just a few more supremes. They don't pose much of a threat to us. Hearing Lu Ruoxian's words, Xiao Chen glanced at the void. After seeing that Master Qingju had only his soul body left, and there were four more supremes, he roughly understood what had happened. If he did not submit to Emperor Tianxi, then they would be at a disadvantage. But now, who is the hunter and who is the prey is uncertain. What nonsense are you talking to them about? We'll know if we take them down. Just when Xiao Chen finished speaking, Lu Ruoxian and others' expressions froze upon hearing this, and they were about to ask something. Master Wangqing snorted coldly, raised his hand to erupt Taiyan true energy, and pointed at Xiao Chen and others. The terrifying yin qi swept across the sky and the earth, and then condensed into sharp ice spikes, which fell towards Xiao Chen and his group. Damn bitcha, actually. Seeing Master Wangqing displaying divine ability, Liang Bing's expression became extremely cold. While greeting the other party, the demonic energy also exploded violently. But, just before she finished speaking, a wisp of black smoke suddenly rushed out from Xiao Chen's eyebrows, and the terrifying pressure was like a tsunami that overturned the world. Jia, you dare to attack Lord Demon Lord, are you little things tired of living? As the words echoed, the terrifying evil soul power swept away, Wangqing Shite's divine ability was shattered, and the void continued to collapse during the impact. Another supreme strongman, seeing that her divine ability was blocked, Master Wangqing's face became extremely gloomy. Being able to easily take on her divine ability, it seems that the opponent's strength is not inferior to hers. As the storm gradually dissipated, only then did Master Wangqing and others see clearly that the person who took action was an old man in black, with a layer of black energy surging all over his body. And don't know why, after the old man in black appeared, she felt a throbbing in her soul. Just like the old man in front of him, who can specifically restrain the soul. Because I was in the hospital, I stopped by for a physical examination. Unexpectedly, I saw Tang Yin, the class beauty of the second grade class next door, at the window. I remembered that her brother's name was Tang San, and she had a fight with me before. No, this guy is actually in a soul-body state. Being able to directly mobilize the power of law in the state of the soul body, and having such a terrifying demonic aura. He is a strong man from the Soul Clan. When Master Wangqing felt something was wrong, Chen Daofeng, a well-informed supreme. He said in an extremely horrified voice. Soul Clan. A strange race that specializes in body snatching and soul attacks, it is far more difficult to deal with than the human race and beast race. Deal with these ghosts. Unless this person is also good at soul attack spells, or has a soul treasure to protect the sea of consciousness, he will be easily overwhelmed by these guys. What? After hearing Chen Daofeng's words, the expressions of Master Wangqing and others changed dramatically, and they all looked at Tianxi in shock. Jia, I didn't expect you, a little guy, to have some knowledge, to be able to tell that I am the emperor of the Heavenly Demon Clan. When Master Wangqing and others looked horrified, Tian Xie couldn't help but laugh strangely, and suddenly said something shocking. This sentence fell. Immediately, the scalps of Master Wangqing and others were about to explode. Myself, Emperor. The powerful Soul Clan man in front of me is actually a powerful emperor. Seal the void and don't let them escape. Seeing that Tian Xie actually pretended to be a good person, Xiao Chen also showed a hint of helplessness on his face, and then told Lu Ruoxian and Liang Bing. Hear Xiao Qina's words. Lu Ruoxian and Liang Bing's eyes flashed slightly, but they were not in a hurry to ask anything. He transformed his hands to form a seal. His cultivation reached its peak at this moment, and the spiritual energy of heaven and earth suddenly rioted. Willow sticks and demonic tentacles spread and fell from the sky in an instant, covering a 10-mile radius space. Seal the sky and lock the earth. They want to kill us here. After seeing Lu Ruoxian and Liang Bing sealing off the world, Tomorrow City and Han Xing both screamed. I thought that after the other elders arrived, the situation could be easily controlled by them. Unexpectedly, a strong man from the Soul Clan suddenly appeared. And he calls himself an emperor. This actually frightened them. Don't get into trouble. The aura fluctuations on his body are only comparable to ours. How could this be a powerful emperor? Feeling that Tomorrow City and others were frightened, Ming Hansheng suddenly shouted loudly at this moment. As he spoke, he stared at Tian Xie ferociously, with a hint of greed on his face. If this is really an emperor of the Soul Clan, his current cultivation aura would be so weak, and he must have suffered irreversible damage. That means, he should be at his weakest now. An emperor whose condition is far from his peak. It is entirely possible for us to kill him. If we can get his soul core, this will be a lucky break. After hearing Ming Hansheng's words, the others were shocked. Every strong person from the Soul Clan has a soul core in their body. Just like the heart of a flesh and blood creature, it contains extremely majestic soul power. Once you can obtain and refine it, not only can your soul power skyrocket, but you can even obtain some kind of soul magic. Jia, I haven't coveted your souls and bodies, but you have coveted my soul core. I didn't expect that after being sealed for thousands of years, all the creatures in the eastern domain would forget. The fear of being dominated by the heavenly demon clan. When Tian Xie heard this, he let out a maniacal laugh, and the next moment he erupted with terrifying evil soul power, and he rushed towards several people like a ghost. Next, I will let you understand what fear is exactly. 63%. Chapter 304. Gia, I just like you, a resentful little slut. Let's take action together. Seeing Tian Xie rushing towards them, Ming Hansheng and others shouted loudly and pushed their cultivation to the extreme. A bright light filled the sky and the earth, and the space within a radius of 10 miles was trembling. A series of divine ability spells, surging with destructive fluctuations, blasted towards Tian Xie in an instant, blocking out the sky and the sun. Lu Ruoxian, Liang Bing and others looked solemn when they saw this, and they all frantically cultivated to maintain the heaven and earth cage. Luo Yulian, on the other hand, condensed a protective barrier and directly enveloped Xiao Chen, Kaiyan and the others. Fighting between Supreme Realm experts can easily spread to a radius of nearly 100 miles. The aftermath of that kind of devastating impact can easily kill even the strong Saint Realm. Boom! As Tianxi collided with several supreme divine abilities, a thunderstorm-like roar sounded between heaven and earth, and the space in the cage of heaven and earth continued to shatter and collapse. Under everyone's gaze, the evil soul power that Tian Xie unleashed was exploded by several venerables. And Tian Xie was shattered to pieces on the spot in this impact. This scene, Master Wangqing, Ming Hansheng and others couldn't help but look stunned for a moment. What happened? Why is this guy so weak? He was dismembered all of a sudden. Seeing Tianxi being shattered by the impact of divine ability, Ming Hansheng and Wangqing Shite couldn't help but speak. Not good. This is the Soul Clan's unique soul-splitting technique. It can split one's own soul body and scatter it in the void, and then recondensate it with the soul core in another place. When Ming Hansheng, Master Wangqing and others were surprised, Chen Daofeng seemed to have remembered something and spoke with extremely anxious voice at this time. Hurry up and close the sea of consciousness between your eyebrows to prevent him from invading and seizing the body. As these words fell, the expressions of Ming Hansheng, Master Wangqing and others changed, and each of them broke out in their cultivation to block the entrance to the Sea of Consciousness. Gia, everyone is very vigilant. It's a pity that my target is not you. Just as Chen Daofeng's words fell, Tian Xia's words also sounded in the void, and a black mist appeared strangely behind. Immediately afterwards, he shot towards Qingju Shitai at a terrifying speed. Not good. He wants to devour Master Qingju's soul. Ming Hansheng and others' expressions changed drastically when they saw that Tian Xie used the soul-dispersing method to bypass them and rushed to the rear. No, don't come over. When Master Qingju saw Tian Xie coming straight towards her, her soul was almost scared to death at this moment, and she ran away in the void without even thinking. She is only in the state of her soul body now, and is like a little lamb in front of the Soul Clan. The kind of fear and oppression that originates from the soul is stronger than when it has a physical body. Not to mention at her peak, she only had the supreme second level cultivation level, which was still a huge gap compared to Tian Xie at this time. Gia, feel free to fear and scream as much as you want. I just like you, such a resentful little slut. Feeling the fear on Master Qingju's body, Tianxi couldn't help but let out an excited laugh, and his soul body approached Master Qingju in an instant. Classmate Tang Yin was very embarrassed when she saw me. It was because she took me to her house and said she wanted me to taste cherry tomatoes, and we started fighting when we met her brother at home. We can't let him swallow Master Qingju. Seeing this scene in front of him, Chen Daofeng shouted loudly. Let's take action together. Even if he obliterates Master Qingju's soul, he cannot let him devour the other party. The words echoed. Chen Daofeng took action without hesitation. Starlight burst out into the sky, and the void suddenly became dim. A huge arm full of wild aura, like an ancient god reaching out from the depths of the void. With the terrifying power that seemed to be able to pick up the stars and the moon, they blasted towards Tian Xie and Master Qingju together. And Ming Hansheng, Han Xing and others. Hearing this, they all burst into cultivation without hesitation and headed towards Tian Xie's Qingju Master Tai Zhen to kill him. Anyway, Master Qingju is not their sect member, so there is nothing wrong with killing him. No, Master, save me. Seeing this scene in front of him, Master Qingju screamed in horror, and even more shocking resentment emerged from his soul. Even though her body was destroyed by Luo Yulian and Liang Bing, she didn't expect that the strong men from the other three major forces would take action against her. The scariest thing is, her master, Master Wangqing, didn't even make any move. As if they acquiesced, Chen Daofeng and others' actions to obliterate her made her feel extremely chilled at this moment. Also at this moment, the wickers and demonic tentacles in the void all erupted with terrifying true energy fluctuations. Then, like chains of order, they moved towards several divine abilities. The moment of collision, a devastating storm rolled up in the void again, and the roar echoed like thunder. Although the divine ability condensed by Lu Ruoxian and Liang Bing was exploded by Chen Daofeng and others, it successfully blocked the offensive of several people. And Tianxi is in this buffer. Like a jackal or a tiger, wrapped in the overwhelming black energy, it successfully pounced on Master Qingju. The shrill and desperate screams of Master Qingju suddenly sounded in the void. Divine ability by Daofeng Chen et al. After blasting the wicker branches and demonic tentacles all over the sky, they also fell on the seeping black mist, and the destructive force once again swept across and erupted. However, Chen Daofeng, Ming Hansheng and others did not have any joy on their faces. Instead, they became extremely gloomy. Break the cage of opening heaven quickly, otherwise we will all die. I felt that there was an evil spirit force in the center of the storm, which was getting stronger at a terrifying speed. Chen Daofeng shouted anxiously. If it was just now. If this strong soul clan man hadn't swallowed Master Qingju yet, they and their group might have killed him together. But now, after Master Qingju's soul is devoured, the opponent's strength will definitely soar in a short period of time. In addition, there are 3 other supremes on the side. Once these people join forces, they may really fall here. As the words fell, Chen Daofeng, Ming Hansheng, and Long Jianming, the 3 supreme powerhouses, all exploded in cultivation at this moment and blasted towards the heaven and earth cage. The 4 supremes, Wangqing Shite and Tomorrow City, as well as Han Xing and Li Min, have their sights set on Xiao Chen and others. During the burst of cultivation, he unleashed the terrifying divine ability killer move, which capsized Xiao Chen, Lu Ruoxian and others. Both sides take action together. If Lu Ruoxian and Liang Bing want to fight to the death to maintain the cage of heaven and earth, Luo Yulian alone cannot stop them. These people will definitely be hit hard by then. That bunch of brats who didn't even have Saint Realm would have died hundreds of times in this kind of impact. Sir, be careful. Seeing this scene in front of them, Lu Ruoxian and Liang Bing's expressions changed, and each of them wanted to give up maintaining the cage of heaven and earth. He turned to protect Xiao Chen and his party. Luo Yulian, on the other hand, went crazy with his cultivation and formed a protective barrier around him, trying to protect the group of people to the best of his ability. Maintain the cage of heaven and earth. When Xiao Chen saw this, there was no panic on his face. He just shouted in a low voice, threw out a large cauldron with his backhand, and headed towards several divine abilities. Boom! As the collision breaks out, destructive power erupted in the void, and the cauldron was blasted back on the spot, followed by Luo Yulian in shock. Master Wangqing and others saw that this large bronze cauldron was able to withstand this wave of attacks with its own material, and felt the heavy aura permeating it. Each of the pupils shrank violently at this moment, and there was a look of disbelief on his face. How can this be? This is actually an Emperor weapon. 63%. Chapter 305 Prepare to harvest. I will create opportunities for you. Generally speaking, Saint King level artifacts are respectfully called Saint King soldiers, and Supreme level artifacts are respectfully called King soldiers. As for the artifacts of the Emperor Monarch level, they are called Emperor weapons. Able to carry the supreme divine ability simply by its material without urging it to move, this bronze cauldron is definitely the Emperor weapon. Unexpectedly, the little devil in front of him actually held an Emperor weapon in his hands. Could this thing be the treasure that the 4 supreme ancestors fought for back then? This moment, Master Wangqing, Tomorrow City and others all seemed to have thought of something. As his expression became horrified, his breathing also became rapid. And amidst the horror and disbelief of several people, a collision completely broke out in the void. Because Lu Ruoxian and Liang Bing were close to Xiao Chen and others, they both took back their strength in the end to resist the divine ability attack, so the heaven and earth cage was exploded by Chen Daofeng and others. Both Lu Ruoxian and Liang Bing suffered a certain backlash, and the power of true energy in their bodies instantly became chaotic. But at this moment, after hearing Master Wangqing's exclamation, Chen Daofeng and others couldn't help but look back at Xiao Chen's position. When they saw the Dawang soul refining cauldron, their expressions changed at this moment. The figure that wanted to rush out of the abyss was now stagnant in the void. An emperor weapon. The temptation to them is fatal. If you can get it, you can leap over the dragon gate and enter a higher realm. After all, each emperor weapon has a strong aura of law on it, and there are even complex lines of heaven and earth veins. If you can understand even a little bit, your own strength will improve by leaps and bounds. So although they could leave at this time, they didn't want to leave. Quick, while the Soul Clan strongman hasn't finished digesting it, let's kill them together and seize the emperor weapon. After hesitating for less than a second, Ming Hansheng yelled at this time. While talking, he took the lead in bursting out his cultivation and rushed towards Xiao Chen and others, and with his raised hand, he unleashed another terrifying divine ability killing move. Master Wangqing, Tomorrow City and others also used divine ability to kill them again. Even Chen Daofeng and Long Jianming swooped down at this moment. Originally, they all strived to be stable, but when the benefits were tempting enough, how could they be willing not to take risks and fight for it? You bitches are all looking for death. Seeing the 7 Supremes attacking again, Liang Bing condensed a terrifying demonic shadow in his rage. The demonic power shattered the void and blasted towards several people. Because Lu Ruoxian is by Xiao Chen's side, he doesn't have to worry about exposing his energy. So at this time, I went all out to display divine ability. Willow branches intertwined crazily in the void, and then whipped towards the Supremes like a whip of destruction. Luo Yulian also went all out. When the petals floated down with overwhelming yin qi, a terrifying vision of a mountain of corpses and a sea of blood appeared behind her. A terrifying bloody corpse arm poked out from under the 9 netherworld and blasted directly at Master Wangqing and the others. The roar exploded again. A wave of collision that was far more terrifying than before once again erupted within the 10,000 demons' cold abyss. The abyss below completely collapsed, and the entrance to the secret realm disappeared instantly. All the abyss monsters within 100 miles radius fled frantically in panic. Lu Ruoxian and others were all boiled with energy and blood during the collision, and they were protected by Xiao Chen and others, who were rolled back thousands of feet. And Master Wangqing and others. Although each one of them was repulsed, their expressions showed excitement. Those 3 cheap maids have to protect a bunch of ants, and none of them can completely let go. This is our chance. When she saw Lu Ruoxian and others being restrained, Master Wangqing shouted coldly at this moment. Sacrifice to the king's soldiers, don't hide your clumsiness. While talking, Master Wangqing took out a snake-like sword from her dantian, and a terrifying power of the Supreme swept across the world. Ming Hansheng took out a bloody long sword, Long Jianming unlocked the seal of the heavy sword, and Chen Daofeng also offered a compass. The broken void continued to vibrate, and the expressions of Lu Ruoxian and others changed. Just now, these people didn't sacrifice their natal king's weapons, which made them feel overwhelmed. Now that these guys are using their cards together, I'm afraid the situation will become very tragic. After chatting for a while, I found out that classmate Tang Yin had never forgotten me all these years and said that she had always kept her cherry tomatoes for me and that I could eat them when I had time. This shocked me greatly. Jia, the taste of Xiaoxiaohun is really strong. I feel full of strength. Also at this time, after Tian Xie finished in the void, he once again let out a weird smile that penetrated people. The body's cultivation level fluctuates, reaching the supreme 6th level. Quick victory. After hearing Tian Xie's penetrating laughter and feeling the pressure, Chen Daofeng yelled anxiously. True energy poured into the compass at this moment, and a star soul shadow condensed in the void. Master Wangqing and others also frantically exploded in cultivation to activate the king's soldiers, and terrifying visions appeared around them in an instant. Don't hurt my lord. When Tian Xie saw this, he was immediately frightened so much that his soul trembled, and he quickly swooped down from the void. Get ready to harvest, I'll create opportunities for you. When Xiao Chen saw the scene in front of him, he said calmly. Then he closed his eyes and silently recited 2 words in his heart. God descends. At the same time that Master Wangqing and others used divine ability, Xiao Chen's soul and true spirit also transferred in an instant. Just this time, the target of the divine surrender is no longer the 5 elements undead corpse, but Tian Xie, a powerful emperor from the heavenly demon clan. When the secret method takes effect, Tian Xie's soul also froze slightly, and a faint light flashed in his pupils. His soul fell into Xiao Chen's control. Immediately afterwards, Xiao Chen controlled Tian Xie's soul and raised his hand to grab the void. The immortal soul lamp that was originally in his sea of consciousness was forcibly summoned to this void. As Xiao Chen urged the soul power to pour in crazily, a terrifying imperial power swept across the world. Master Wangqing and others had just gathered the divine ability ultimate move, and they struck Lu Ruoxian and others mercilessly one by one. But after feeling this coercion, a terrifying vibration erupted in the sea of consciousness, and there was a sharp pain in the soul body. The true energy in his body instantly collapsed, and the power of divine ability was sharply reduced at this time. Soul-type Emperor Weapon. Feeling this indescribable pressure, Wangqing Shite and others' mentality collapsed. Didn't he expect that at Allah? Xiao Chen actually has a second Emperor Weapon, and it is also a Soul-type Emperor Weapon, and it can even activate a little bit of power. Take action. But at this moment, not allowing Master Wangqing and others to think too much, Lu Ruoxian, Liang Bing and others all took action with all their strength, using wicker sticks and devil claws to blast the divine abilities of several people. It fell hard on several people. For a moment, the chests of several people burst and collapsed on the spot, and supreme blood also spilled into the void. Xiao Chen didn't give these people a chance to breathe at all. After using Tian Xia's soul power to activate the immortal soul lamp, he directly activated the forbidden spell of the immortal soul lamp. Illusory shadows of soul lamps condensed on the heads of several supremes. As the flame is lit, the souls of several supremes were crazily burned and devoured, and their screams echoed in the void. Lu Ruoxian, Liang Bing and Luo Yulian all took this opportunity to rush towards them. One by one, during the burst of divine ability, they completely penetrated the hearts of several people and cut off the vitality of their physical bodies. Later, the remaining souls of Master Wangqing and others were also forcefully swallowed by the immortal soul lamp. Several major supremes have completely fallen. This scene. A chill ran down the backs of the remaining Saint King realm experts around them. If they hadn't seen it with their own eyes, they wouldn't be able to believe that a powerful person in the Supreme Realm could die so easily. 63%. Chapter 306. What the Lord Demon Lord said is absolutely true. It's just a matter of 2 or 3 measures of meat. Escape. This kind of fear and shock had not lasted long, and an unknown Saint King in the world gave a loud shout, and all the Saint King powerhouses woke up at this moment. One by one, like frightened birds, they fled in all directions. All the supreme masters of the 4 major forces have fallen. Even if they all come together, they cannot be the opponents of Xiao Chen and others. Want to leave? It's too late. Seeing all the powerful Saint King collapse into the void and flee, Xiao Chen pointed at the immortal soul lamp while murmuring. The cluster of lamp flames swayed at this moment, and sparks sputtered out from it. In an instant, all the sparks turned into chains of soul fire, and then sank into the void across dozens of miles, appearing behind each Saint King strongman. When everyone turned around in horror, they penetrated all the Saint King. No, one by one, the Saint Kings burst into cultivation in panic, using their divine ability to attack the chains of soul fire. But the power of extreme Dao Emperor Weapon. Even if it is only a little bit stimulated, how can the strong Saint King be able to resist it? All the Saint King's divine abilities were exploded on the spot, and the soul fire chains penetrated their bodies, pulling their holy souls out of the sea of consciousness. No, sir, spare your life, I am willing to. Feeling the saint soul being forcibly suppressed by the soul fire chain, and the terrifying burning sensation coming from above, all the Saint King strongmen begged for mercy in a sad voice. Before they could finish their words, chains of soul fire dragged their soul bodies, and their bodies were rolled up by the explosion of soul power. In the next moment, it spanned dozens of miles and appeared in front of Xiao Chen and others. This scene, Kaiyan, Huo Tianshang and others all looked horrified. It takes almost less than 2 breaths to wipe out all the Saint Kings. Is this the power of the Emperor Weapon after it is activated? While everyone was in horror, Xiao Chen put away the bodies and relics of all the Saint King powerhouses with a wave of his hand. With a thought, his consciousness separated from Tian Xia's body and returned to the sea of consciousness together with the immortal soul lamp. Hiss. Just. What happened just now? With the departure of Xiao Chen's soul body and true spirit, Tian Xie regained control of the soul body. Feeling the almost depletion of soul power in his body, and the experience just now like a bystander, Tian Xie felt that his scalp was going to explode at this moment. He was a powerful emperor from the heavenly demon clan, but his soul body was possessed in an instant, without even the slightest ability to resist. This is simply outrageous, opening the door to outrageousness. It's so outrageous. Is it the effect of that soul seal? Thinking of the life and death soul seal of the integrated union with his soul body and true spirit, Tian Xie seemed to understand something at this moment. While his face showed bitterness, he also showed deep awe. He is worthy of being recognized by the immortal soul lamp. Such an unpredictable method of stealing souls makes him look more like a heavenly demon than him. You guys need to adjust and recover first, and I'll refine a physical body for this guy. When Tian Xie was frightened, Xiao Chen suddenly opened his eyes and spoke to several people in a soft voice. This sentence, the expressions of Luo Yulian and others suddenly became condensed, and even Tian Xie couldn't help but look over after hearing this. You must know that he is a strong man in the Emperor realm. Although his cultivation has not fully recovered yet, he has only reached the level of the supreme 6th level. But the ordinary physical body cannot bear a soul body of his level. Even if it is the body of a strong saint realm, once his integrated union explodes with full force, his physical body will probably collapse on the spot. The one that suits him best. It was undoubtedly the body of a powerful man in the supreme realm, but several bodies as big as the supreme were beaten to pieces by Lu Ruoxian and Liang Bing. The vitality began to collapse and dissipate, and he had no choice but to seize the body. Xiao Chen ignored Tian Xia's shock and looked at the corpses of the supremes. I feel that the physical bodies of these supremes have just died, and their limbs and skeletons still contain majestic vitality. Xiao Chen's eyes flashed slightly, and then he took out a pile of materials. These materials were collected from the Na rings found on the corpses of several supremes. Most of them are natural treasures that can be used for body refining, and a small part are evil objects used by some powerful demons to practice. The grades are basically at the Saint King level. Demon Lord, are you trying to smelt the corpses of these guys into a new body? Seeing Xiao Chen taking out a pile of saint-rank materials and floating them next to several supreme corpses, Tian Xie asked with a trembling voice. Even Luo Yulian looked surprised. She refines corpse puppets. It must be a strong person whose body's vitality has completely dissipated. After the body has been corroded by yin qi and transformed into a corpse, it can be cultivated by incorporating some weapon refining materials. This kind of body has just died, but the vitality in the body is still very strong, and several of them were refined together. In the inheritance of Hengshan corpse refining lineage, there is no such strange refining method. Any questions? Hearing Tian Xia's surprised words, Xiao Chen turned his head and asked Tian Xie. No problem. When Tian Xie heard this, he was speechless and didn't know how to answer. Although Xiao Chen's cultivation level is not even enough to enter the saint realm, the methods shown by the other party are far beyond his knowledge. Even his soul body can be seized instantly, and he can even control the immortal heavenly demon lamp. Therefore, it seems to be normal for the other party to refine the corpse of a supreme realm powerhouse. After being tortured in the hospital for 2 days, I couldn't bear it anymore and was discharged. Unexpectedly, I bumped into Sister Zhongli on the road. She looked very young after dressing up. I almost didn't recognize her. The system uses the corpse of a strong human race as the synthesis direction to synthesize all the corpses and materials in front of us. Xiao Chen turned his head when he heard this. While pointing at all the items in front of him, he also gave the synthesis command to the system in his heart. No, Demon Lord, there are 2 female corpses inside. Just when Xiao Chen gave the order, Tian Xie finally realized something was wrong at this moment, and shouted to Xiao Chen in a hurry. The 8 supreme powers. There were 6 old men among them, but there were also 2 white-haired women. Smelting all 6 men and 2 women together, what the hell could this new body be? Ding. The system has deducted 3.6 million points and is providing all the items in front of the host integrated union. As the system prompt tone fell, a burst of white light shone. The broken bodies of several supremes, as well as the pile of high-end dismantled materials, merged into one in an instant. One is tall and well-proportioned with muscles. A figure with long flowing hair and very fair skin immediately appeared in front of everyone. A terrifying energy and blood fluctuation as vast as the abyss also burst out from this body. Fortunately, when the system is synthesizing upgrade items, it will cut off the perception of this side of the world, so there is no thunder tribulation coming from the world at this time. Jia, what a majestic power of qi and blood, it should have reached the level of the supreme 7th level. And the appearance and figure are so perfect, worthy of being the body that was sacrificed and refined by the Demon Lord. Feeling the power of qi and blood surging in this body, Tian Xie couldn't help but let out a burst of excited laughter. But in the next moment, when he glanced at the other person's body, his pupils couldn't help but shrink, and his soul thoughts quickly swept over the body. FK, no, nothing at all. Demon Lord, this body is flawed. Not only are there no male characteristics, there are no female characteristics either. One piece of skin is all welded shut. He didn't even know whether this body was male or female, so he strongly asked Xiao Chen to refine it again. You are a strong man from the Soul Clan. What you pursue is the integration of soul levels. Why should you care about the few ounces of flesh on your body? This is what I have worked so hard to refine. If you don't want it, you will embarrass me. Seeing Tian Xie protesting there, Xiao Chen said in a faint voice. This made Tian Xie's soul tremble slightly, and he quickly spoke in agreement. Jia, what Lord Demon Lord said is absolutely true. What our heavenly demon clan pursues is the fusion of souls, and we don't even need a few measly amounts of flesh on our bodies. Finished. Tian Xia's soul turned into a plume of black smoke and did not enter the body at this time. A terrifying fluctuation in cultivation level was like a blowout, erupting into the sky from this new body. 64%. Chapter 307. Should it be more appropriate for him to call these two people the Demon Queen? Jia. It turns out that the Heavenly Demon Clan with physical bodies are the strongest creatures in the Eastern Domain. Feel the power of the evil soul and the power of Qi and blood continuously integrated union, and a more advanced evil power evolves in the body. Tian Xie couldn't help but look up to the sky and laugh wildly. The power of the evil element also condensed into a black suit, completely wrapping the body, and the cultivation level soared directly to the supreme 8th level. If his soul power is restored some more, his overall strength may reach the supreme 9th level. Don't be rude. The Heavenly Demon Clan is a street rat in the Eastern Domain. Once your identity is exposed, you may be chased by the Emperor. Therefore, from now on, you should not appear directly in your soul body without my permission. Seeing Tian Xie laughing wildly, Xiao Chen gave a serious warning. Then he took out a fragment of the demonic soul-seducing flower from the system space. Without hesitation, he spent nearly 5 million points to repair and upgrade it to the supreme grade level. This demon spirit soul-capturing flower is enough to restore your soul power to the supreme 9th level. With that said, Xiao Chen took out another object and threw it to Tian Xie. There is also this ancient relic, which can enhance the power of your physical body. Next, you must restore your cultivation to the supreme 9th level in the shortest possible time, and your combat power will be comparable to the Emperor's 1st level. This ancient relic was found in the Great Desert Soul Refining Cauldron. Its quality actually reached supreme grade, but the energy contained in it was too vast, and he couldn't refine it with his current cultivation level. So I gave this thing to Tianxi and it could be effective in a short time. After all, treasures like ancient relics are not a scarce commodity. When he completely refines the Great Wilderness Soul Refining Cauldron, as long as he can kill enough flesh and blood creatures, he can basically have as many as he wants. The Demon Lord, actually. With a raised hand, he transformed a fragment of heavenly rank spirit medicine into a supreme grade soul medicine. Seeing the two treasures floating in front of him, Tian Xie almost slapped himself, thinking that he was hallucinating. Just a breathless time. Even if a fragment of spirit medicine is completely repaired, the grade is actually upgraded from heavenly rank supreme grade to supreme grade. There are two big levels in between. Although a strong person in the Emperor realm can transform spirit medicine into 2 levels, there is absolutely no way to complete it in a short time. In other words, Xiao Chen has crushed many emperors with this method. He is simply a godlike existence. Follow such a mysterious existence. He will definitely reach the 9th level of the Emperor in the future and become the supreme being of the Heavenly Demon Clan. Think of this. Tian Xie couldn't help but want to laugh wildly, but after seeing Xiao Chen glance at him, he finally resisted the urge to go crazy. Come here, I will introduce you to you. After calling Tian Xie in front of him, Xiao Chen briefly introduced Lu Ruoxian and others, and also introduced the origin of Tianxi to these people. These 3 people are actually the beauties of the Demon Lord, and 2 of them were once powerful emperors. After hearing Xiao Chen's introduction, Tianxi couldn't help but widen his eyes. He glanced at Lu Ruoxian and Liang Bing in surprise. One seems to be the spirit of grass and trees who have become an emperor, and the other seems to have some kind of demon blood in his body. They don't look like simple characters. But these 2 people, even if they were once powerful emperors, they would not be much stronger than him. You must know that he was the 5th elder of the Heavenly Demon Clan back then. Except for a few people in the clan who could overpower him, the other strong men in the Heavenly Demon Clan were only qualified to smell his farts. Looking at the entire Eastern domain with one's combat power, I won't say that I can be ranked in the top 30, but I should be in the top 50. Of course, this was all thousands of years ago. He, the emperor, was also a little unsure of what the situation was like in the Eastern domain today. Don't underestimate these two, each of them is no worse than you. Seeing Tian Xia's surprised and somewhat complacent look, Xiao Chen said calmly at this time. Ruoxian was once a powerful person in the 8th level of the emperor, and his cultivation was one level higher than when you were at your peak. And she became an emperor with the body of a mortal, relying on 3 parts chance and 7 parts understanding. The understanding of laws accumulated over 10,000 years is much better than yours. And Liang Bing, although she was only at the 2nd level of the emperor at her peak, it was because of the inheritance of the Lord of the Abyss of the Integrated Union. As long as she is given some time to penetrate the Integrated Union, her cultivation level will gradually increase to the 9th level of the emperor. After hearing Xiao Chen's words, Tian Xia's expression couldn't help but change. One had cultivated to the 8th level of the emperor with the body of a mortal, and the other had received the initiation and inheritance from the Lord of the Abyss. The 2 women in front of him were so terrifying. Compared with Kayan and others brought into the secret realm by Xiao Chen, they are completely different in cultivation and origin. Shouldn't it be more appropriate for him to call these 2 people the Demon Queen? Feng Qishuan, Huo Tianshang and others were frightened to the point of weakening their legs after hearing the conversation of several people. Although I knew that Lu Ruoxian and Liang Bing were both extraordinary before, I never expected that these 2 people were actually powerful emperors. After some pleasantries, Sister Zhongli took me to her newly opened tavern and sat there for a long time. Sister Zhongli was having difficulty with capital turnover and planned to let me become a shareholder. Emperor Tianxi, it turns out that you were the 5th elder of the Heavenly Demon clan more than 5,800 years ago. After that, you were chasing the Emperor of Great Desolation and entered the 10,000 demons cold abyss and lost your trace. I didn't expect you to be still alive. After Xiao Chen finished speaking, Lu Ruoxian looked at Tian Xia in front of him, as if he was remembering something, and said in a surprised tone. More than 5,800 years ago, she had not yet entered the imperial realm. But for some things that shocked the Eastern domain, I did know a little bit about it. I thought, the emperor that Xiao Chen conquered was just an elder from the Heavenly Demon clan. Unexpectedly, he turned out to be the 5th elder. However, after the emperor of the Great Wilderness was chased and killed by the powerful Heavenly Demon clan, he fell, and then the Heavenly Demon clan was driven into the restricted area by the human race and beast race. The Taoist tradition that Emperor Dawang belonged to before has produced many strong men in recent years. There was an old man among them, whose cultivation was not weaker than hers. If we bump into each other in the future, I'm afraid there will be big trouble. However, with Xiao Chen's terrifying growth rate, there is no need to worry about giving the other party some time to grow. When the thought fell, Lu Ruoxian no longer worried. After Xiao Chen introduced Tianxi to everyone, he also took out some soul-restoring purple pills and gave them to Kayan and others, asking Kayan and others to restore their cultivation in the chariot pavilion. Xiao Chen, on the other hand, was sorting out the many trophies obtained during this trip in the side room. The other side, Eastern Domain Profound Heaven is located in the south of the Ming Dynasty. Master, Ida not good. The soul cards of the 3rd elder, the 7th elder, the 2nd saint child, and the 3rd saint child were all shattered. After hearing these words, Ming Wudao suddenly opened his eyes, and supreme pressure suddenly swept over the Ming family. All elders, come to the Soul Hall immediately. As these words echoed and fell, the space around Ming Wudao twisted and transformed. The figure disappeared in the courtyard of the family owner and appeared in the Minghan Palace of the Ming family. Almost as soon as his figure appeared, several more figures appeared out of thin air. The terrifying coercion filled the entire hall, causing the Ming family disciples guarding the hall to lie on the ground trembling in fear. How can it be? The 3rd child is a powerful person in the 5th level of Supreme. How could he fall so easily? After the figure appeared in the Minghan Palace, several elders all said in horror at the same time. This time, Ming Hansheng received a request for help from Tomorrow City. He just set off for Dongwang 2 days ago, but he didn't expect that he would die now. Moreover, all members of the Ming family died tragically in the eastern wasteland. Could it be? Did the Ming family let the other 3 major forces gather fire and besiege them? But even so, it's not like there's not even a message asking for help. The 2 supreme powerhouses have just fallen, right? If Lao San and Lao number 7 can't be summoned in time, this must be far more dangerous than they imagined. But no matter what, the elders of our Ming family cannot die in vain. The top priority is to know what is really going on. After saying that, Ming Wudao glanced at a few people and shouted in a heavy voice. Join hands to use the divine ability to trace the source of soul. Let's see if we can detect the memories of Lao San and the others before they died through their soul cards. 64%. Chapter 308. Family Leader, what should we do? Do we want to go over and beg for mercy? After Ming Wudao finished speaking, the other elders' eyes narrowed. Soul Source Tracing Divine Ability. It is a special soul secret method obtained by the ancestor of the Ming family, which can be used as attraction by using the soul card of the fallen person. Burn the last ray of soul and trace the memories before death. It's just that this soul secret method is too cumbersome and complicated, and it requires 5 Supreme Realm experts to perform it. There will also be a certain amount of soul backlash afterwards. But now that the 2 great Supremes and the 2 great Saint Childs of the Ming family have all fallen, if they can learn the truth behind the matter, it won't be a big deal for them to suffer some backlash. When the thought falls, several elders stood beside Ming Wudao. Supreme soul power exploded at this moment, and a mysterious seal formed in his hand. A complex soul array immediately condensed around several people. Let me see what kind of danger it will be that can make the 2 Supremes of the Ming family fall. The words echoed in a cold voice. Ming Wudao rolled up Ming Hansheng's broken soul card, then formed a seal with one hand and pressed it into the formation. Boom! As the soul card submerged, the formation shook violently. A wisp of green smoke condensed from the broken soul card, and a slightly blurry picture suddenly emerged. In the picture, only 2 beauties can be seen, using divine ability to blast away. There is also an ancient cauldron suspended in the back, as well as a young man in black and a group of stunning women. But the picture is blurry. Ming Wudao could only see clearly the face of the woman who made the move, namely the 2 powerful men Lu Ruoxian and Liang Bing. It is worth mentioning that Ming Hansheng was anxious to snatch the soul-refining cauldron of Dawang, so he turned his back to Tian Xie and rushed towards Xiao Chen and others, so that he did not see Tian Xie and the immortal soul lamp. So it is not shown on the screen. Boom! The next moment, when Ming Wudao and others were trying to see clearly the scene behind them. As the soul card exploded into a ball of ashes, the scene disappeared instantly. How can it be? The 3rd child actually died in the hands of 2 women. After coming back to his senses, the eldest elder of the Ming family said with a look of disbelief. Judging from the divine ability killing moves that broke out in the screen, these 2 people were only at the 5th or 6th level of Supreme. For this kind of existence, even if Ming Hansheng is defeated, he still has the means to protect himself. How could he die before he could even send out a message for help? Why does that woman in silver-green-black clothes have a similar feeling? When the elder of the Ming family looked in disbelief, Ming Wudao recalled Lu Ruoxian's expression in the picture. His brows couldn't help but wrinkle at this moment. Faintly between. He felt as if he had seen this supreme powerhouse somewhere, but for a while he just couldn't remember where. Do you know these 2 women? While deep in thought, Ming Wudao asked the other elders. Master, I seem to have seen the ancient cauldron floating behind you somewhere before. Ming Wudao's words had just finished. The 2nd elder of the Ming family trembled violently as he spoke, and his whole body seemed to have remembered something at this moment. I remembered. That is the original emperor weapon controlled by Emperor Dawang back then, Dawang's soul refining cauldron. I went to the eastern domain Kengshuan when I was young, and I was lucky enough to see the pictures and texts of the soul refining cauldron in the great wilderness. Although that ancient cauldron has some signs of dullness and fragmentation, its texture and shape are exactly the same as the great wilderness soul refining cauldron. In addition, back then, the great wilderness emperor was chased into the eastern wilderness by the heavenly demon clan, so this is definitely the great wilderness soul refining cauldron that is famous in the eastern domain. After a few words fell in the hall, everyone's minds roared. They all looked at Ming Yaohui, the 2nd elder of the Ming family, in shock. If what the other party said is true, that piece of information is really explosive. Emperor weapon. This is a terrifying secret that only Emperor-level forces can use. Unexpectedly, such a treasure would appear in the eastern wasteland. Seeing my hesitation, Sister Zhang Li held my hand and said that as long as I wanted, I could buy any stock and help me repair the faucet. I threw out 1 million. Make sure again. When the thought fell, Ming Wudao made another casual move, and the soul card of Tomorrow City floated over. Just like the sealing operation just now, the soul card burst out with light. The scene before Tomorrow City's death also appeared in front of Ming Wudao and others. This scene, it was basically the same as what Ming Hansheng saw, except that there was a slight deviation in the perspective. Yes, this is indeed the Great Wilderness Soul Refining Cauldron of the Great Wilderness Emperor. Unexpectedly, this Emperor weapon was born in the Eastern Wasteland. After seeing this desolate cauldron again, Ming Yaohui shouted excitedly. The other elders of the Ming family were shaken violently, and while their expressions became horrified, they also showed a look of excitement. But there is only clarity and no way. His eyes were fixed on Lu Ruoxian, the moment the picture disappeared. His pupils shrank violently at this moment, and there was a roar in his mind. Is she? She's not dead yet, and she appears in the Eastern Wasteland. When he recognized Lu Ruoxian, Rao Ming Wudao is the head of the Ming family, and his cultivation level has reached the supreme 6th level. But I was also shocked to the point of trembling. Such an abnormal reaction made the other elders look at him solemnly. Master, is there anything wrong with that woman? After hearing the questions from several people, Ming Wudao took a deep breath and explained in a calm voice. More than 300 years ago, in the 100 Beasts Mountains at the junction of the Xuanwang realm and the Kengshuan realm of the Eastern Domain, there was a shocking battle that shook the entire Eastern Domain. You all know about this. And I was hunting for treasure near the 100 Beasts Mountains, and I witnessed this battle from thousands of miles away. That figure, although it was just a glimpse, it was engraved in my soul. Recalling the scene hundreds of years ago, Ming Wudao said with a trembling voice. Master, you mean that woman in silver green black clothes is Emperor Lu, Divine Maiden of the 100 Beasts Mountain Range? After listening to Ming Wudao's words, the elders felt that their scalps were going to explode. Emperor Lu, Divine Maiden. This is the strongest emperor in the 100 Beasts Mountain Range, and his cultivation has reached the terrifying 8th level of the emperor. It can even severely injure the owner of the Dark Forbidden Zone on its own, forcing the opponent to escape into the Dark Forbidden Zone. I thought it was more than 300 years ago. In that terrifying fight, Lu Shen also completely perished in this world along with the destruction of the 100 Beasts Mountain Range. Unexpectedly, the other party was still alive and killed the elders of their Ming family. Master, what should we do? Do we want to go over and beg for mercy? Feeling frightened and terrified in his heart, the 6th elder of the Ming family asked with a trembling voice. Offending a powerful emperor, the Ming family will be in trouble now. Please FK me. After hearing the words of the 6th elder of the Ming family, Ming Wudao scolded him angrily, with a look of madness on his face. If she is really Emperor Lu, Divine Maiden, this is an incredible opportunity. Judging from the memories of Ming Hansheng and Tomorrow City before their deaths, Lu Shen's strength is roughly around the supreme 5th level. Although I don't know what method she used, she was able to kill Lao San and others in a short time, even before they had time to send out the message. But her current strength is only in the middle stage of the supreme realm. This is an ironclad fact. And Lu Shen. But the spirit of grass and trees cultivates to become an emperor, and the 10,000-year-old willow wood heart in the body makes even the Lord of the Dark Forbidden Zone extremely jealous. No matter who can get it, they will be able to transform themselves after refining, and their cultivation level will also advance by leaps and bounds. Speaking of this, Ming Wudao's breathing became rapid, and a flush appeared on his face. His expression became more and more crazy and greedy. Master, are you talking about this because you want to hunt Lu Shen? After hearing what Ming Wudao said, the legs of several other elders were frightened. He looked at Ming Wudao with trembling eyes. I really don't know what the other Persona-S brain is like. How dare he come up with such crazy ideas? 64%. Chapter 309. We are here to kowtow and apologize for seeking revenge on a bird egg. What? Don't you dare. After hearing the inquiries from the elders, Ming Wudao turned around and said coldly. This sentence. The elders didn't know how to answer. They don't dare to do it. They don't even dare to think about it. To hunt down an empress who has cultivated to the 8th level of the emperor, you have to be crazy to even think about it. To Noah, Lu Shen had a life and death fight with the Lord of the Dark Forbidden Zone more than 300 years ago. He was able to severely injure the opponent only after paying a heavy price. And in just over 300 years, she was able to return to the supreme level. This is probably her limit. She is now at best. She is just a supreme powerhouse whose strength far exceeds her own level. So, it's not impossible for us to hunt her down. I saw that after he finished speaking, the elders looked a little calmer. Ming Wudao raised the corners of his mouth slightly and continued in a solemn voice. Besides, Lu Shen is the spirit of vegetation for thousands of years, and every inch of flesh and blood on his body is a treasure of medicine. If we can successfully hunt her down and then eat her and refine her, the cultivation level will definitely improve by leaps and bounds, and even the longevity will also increase dramatically. Aren't you excited by such a chance? After Ming Wudao finished speaking, several elders took a deep breath and showed a look of excitement on their faces. Have to say, although this decision is indeed a bit crazy, there is also an irresistible temptation. I agree with the head of the family's decision. When everyone started to move, Ming Yaohui also spoke. If this person is really Lu Shen, we will hunt him down in the eastern wasteland. After all, both Lao San and Lao Wu were killed by the other party. We and Lu Shen have completely forged a grudge. You can't take advantage of the opponent's strength and kill him in Dongwang before he has recovered to the emperor's realm. The Ming family will suffer a big disaster in the future. As he said this, Ming Yaohui paused for a moment, with greed on his face. Not to mention this time, in addition to Lu Shen, a spirit of vegetation, there is also an emperor weapon born in the eastern wasteland. Both are treasures that are enough to change the power structure in the southern part of profound heaven. If it falls into the hands of other forces, I'm afraid the Ming family will have to surrender to others. After these words fell, several elders of the Ming family also changed from fear at the beginning to greed and madness like Ming Wudao. Only Ming Qiaifeng, the eldest elder of the Ming family, spoke with some caution. To make such a judgment based solely on the memories of the third and fifth children before they died, I feel that it is a bit too aggressive. The other party is also a powerful emperor. So I think it's better to report this matter to the old family master and Mr. Zan, and then send people to Dongwang to find out the details. This may be safer. No. Just before Ming Qiaifeng finished speaking, a hoarse voice echoed in the hall, and two old figures emerged. These two people. One is Ming Yan, the previous generation head of the Ming family, who has a cultivation level at the peak of the supreme 7th level. The other one is Zan Miao, the strongest worshipper of the Ming family, who also has the cultivation level of the supreme 7th level. I and Mr. Zan know all the conversations you just had. This matter, I and Mr. Zan both agree, and we will lead this trip to the eastern wasteland. Except for Ming Qiaifeng, all the elders of the Ming family are dispatched, including you, the current head of the family. What? After hearing Ming Yan's words, Ming Qiaifeng looked shocked. Except him, all the supreme masters of the Ming family have been mobilized. If something unexpected happens, the Ming family will really be finished. Of course, I will also leave some backup. If something unexpected happens to Ru Xing, I will pass the information about the Dawang soul refining cauldron to an old friend of the Dawang sect. It's just that if this is the case, we won't be able to monopolize the great wilderness soul refining cauldron. Even Lu Shen, a 10,000-year-old spirit of vegetation, might fall into the hands of the great desolation sect. With that said, Ming Yan glanced at Ming Wudao and others, and spoke in a low voice at this time. This time, I won't allow you to play any tricks. If anyone wants to make any crooked ideas, or even have the idea of monopolizing it, you should know my methods. After saying that, Ming Yan didn't say any more nonsense, and led everyone away directly through the air. It is related to the soul refining cauldron of the great wilderness and the spirit of 10,000 years of plants and trees. They must rush ahead of the other major forces to find Lu Ruoxian and others, kill them and seize the treasure. Seeing how generous I was, Sister Zhang Li planned to take me to the wine cellar to taste the daughter's red wine she had hidden for 26 years. She also said that the longer it is brewed, the more enjoyable it will be when you drink it. At the same time, inside the Star Pavilion, several supreme powerhouses sat cross-legged in a large hall, with a mysterious compass spinning in the middle, and patterns constantly evolving above the hall. As the formation continues to evolve, a towering willow shadow and a terrifying demon shadow suddenly appeared in the formation. Puff. Next moment, as if suffering a backlash, several supreme warriors spurted out a mouthful of blood and looked at the two phantoms with horrified expressions. 10,000-year-old willow tree, abyss demon, emperor's foot. How can this be? Seeing the information deduced in front of him, Luo Chenyi couldn't help but scream in shock. After the deaths of Chen Daofeng, Han Xing and others, he joined forces with the supreme elders of Xingchen Pavilion to deduce who the murderer was. Didn't expect this deduction. The information he received almost scared the shit out of him. One of the powerful men who killed Chen Daofeng, Han Xing and others turned out to be an emperor who had cultivated 10,000 years of Lu Mu, and the other was the demon emperor of the abyss. The origins of each of them are so terrifying. How did Chen Daofeng, Han Xing and others get into trouble with each other? When the mind is frightened, Luo Chenyi didn't even care what to say. He broke out in cultivation and continued to deduce, and finally couldn't help but spit out a mouthful of blood. Ha 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 ha, the world is filled with blood in Dongwang, and the future of Xingshan Pavilion will be chaos. This is a bad omen. After seeing the deduced results, Luo Chenyi couldn't help but burst into laughter. Unexpectedly, during this trip to the secret realm of the Eastern Wasteland, Xingshan Pavilion would not only lose 2 supremes, but would even offend 2 powerful emperors. Although the current 2 great emperors are not very scary in terms of energy, their condition does not seem to be at its peak. But the emperor is the emperor after all, how can they provoke him? No, the red light only filled the Eastern Wasteland and did not affect the Star Pavilion. The future will be chaos. Chaos represents the unknown and uncertainty. There is still a glimmer of hope for Xingshan Pavilion. Think of this. Luo Chenyi stood up abruptly. Copycat, follow this pavilion master to the Eastern Wasteland. Pavilion master, are we going to the Eastern Wasteland to seek revenge? Upon hearing Luo Chenyi's instruction, the supreme elders were suddenly shocked. Those are 2 powerful emperors. They may have some shocking trump cards. Is it too risky to seek revenge? Seeking revenge on a bird egg. We went to Kowtow to apologize and seek revenge on the 2 great emperors. Did your head get caught in the door? When Luo Chenyi heard this, he shouted loudly and almost kicked him on the spot. Revenge. It's not like he didn't deduce it just now. But there was only one result. Blood filled the Star Pavilion. Therefore, while there is still a chance to make amends, he must go to Dongwang to Kowtow and apologize. When Luo Chenyi set off with several elders, senior officials from Heavenly Sword Sect and Taiyan Sect also set out together. Ida just these 2 major forces. There is no deduction method of Xingshan Pavilion, and there is no retrospective divine ability of Ming family. Only a few supreme elders were sent to Dongwang to investigate the truth of the matter, but the strongest members of the sect were not dispatched. For a while, the East Wasteland began to be turbulent again. 64%. Chapter 310 Young Master wants to lay a dragnet here. The other side. Inside the double-headed dragon's chariot. While the powerful men from the 4 major forces rushed to the Eastern Wasteland, it took Xiao Chen nearly half an hour to count and recover all the loot. The points actually reached more than 368.7 million. After taking a look at the points value on the attribute panel, even Xiao Chen was shocked at this time. Unexpectedly, after retaining most of the treasures, the points value soared to this extent. More than 360 million points, which was an astronomical figure when he first transmigrated. Unexpectedly, less than 3 months after transmigrating here, his points easily exceeded the 300 million mark. Next, I can spend a lot of money again. When the mind falls. Xiao Chen upgraded all his martial arts and equipment to supreme grade. He also upgraded the 2-headed dragon chariot and the 5-element undead corpse puppet to the supreme grade. For a while, the terrifying undead aura then rose into the sky, and the 2-headed demon dragon puppet's cultivation level broke through to the Saint King realm. And the leader of the 5 elements undead corpse. After the transformation of talent potential and the refining of the necromantic demon Yuan fruit. From the 4th level of Saint King at the beginning, it soared directly to the 7th level of Saint King. Soon I should be able to hit the 9th level of Saint King, and even start trying to enter the supreme level. This is the horror of undead monsters. As long as the talent potential is high enough and a large amount of energy is accumulated, one can easily break through to a higher realm. You don't need to be like other living beings, you also need to understand the laws of heaven and earth. Certainly, this also has disadvantages, because there is no spiritual wisdom to understand the laws of heaven and earth. Therefore, undead monsters generally only have reached the strength of their cultivation, but they cannot keep up with the control and use of power. This also results in the undead monsters above the Saint King level being basically inferior to other creatures at the same level. But this disadvantage, it doesn't exist at all with Xiao Chen. Because as long as he is willing, he can do it after performing the divine descending method. Engraving his divine ability and martial arts insights into the other person's sea of consciousness. This means, when his martial arts knowledge improves, he will be able to use the 5 elements undead corpse puppet as a template to create a terrifying undead monster. =I_#. This matter cannot be rushed. After the 5 elements undead corpse puppet breaks through to Supreme, we will verify whether this method is feasible. While thinking, Xiao Chen resisted the urge to cut into pieces the 5 elements undead corpse. As he collides with the 4 major forces, he is also preparing to enter the Eastern Domain. Although Saint King level experts are good, they are already relatively weak. If you want to create another undead monster, you must naturally create a Supreme level 1. It is worthy of being the daughter of Hong Kong for 26 years. The stamina is indeed very strong. Sister Zhang Li is also very enthusiastic and wants me to have a few more drinks. But drinking too much is harmful to the body. Who can bear it? Sir, aren't we leaving the 10,000 demons cold abyss? After seeing the 2-headed demon dragon puppet breaking through to the Saint King realm, flying not far away and starting to cross the heaven and earth through thunder tribulation, Lu Ruoxian and others came over and asked, now that the supremes of several major forces have fallen, Wanmo Hanyuan will be extremely dangerous. The supremes of the 4 major forces will definitely come to check. If they meet, it will be a fierce battle. Well, let's stay in 10,000 demons cold abyss for a few days and then decide whether to leave based on the situation. Xiao Chen's eyes flickered when he heard this, and he continued in a low voice. Now that we have enmity with the 4 major forces, we must weaken the other party's power as much as possible. And all the people from the major forces who came to the 10,000 demons cold abyss have perished. They will definitely send supreme experts to come to the 10,000 demons cold abyss to investigate. That's our chance. Young master, do you want to lay a dragnet here? After hearing Xiao Chen's words, Lu Ruoxian and others' eyes narrowed, and they immediately understood Xiao Chen's plan. If a dragnet is laid here, someone from the 4 major forces will come. There is a real chance that you can catch them all. But the premise is, the lineup sent by the 4 major forces is not very strong. If the top leaders of the 4 major forces were to mobilize collectively, they might not be asking you to be buried in an urn, but they would be digging their own graves. Don't worry, Tian Xia's comprehensive strength should be able to return to the Supreme 9th level within these 2 days. Coupled with the immortal soul lamp I control, it is enough to easily kill any supreme powerhouse. Nothing will go wrong. Seeing that Lu Ruoxian and others looked a little worried, Xiao Chen waved his hands and said confidently. Also, I have never mentioned it to you before, but I actually have a trump card in my hand. This trump card, if it is displayed, it will be enough to compete with the Peak Emperor. In order to reassure Lu Ruoxian and others, Xiao Chen revealed his trump card. After these words fell, the expressions of Lu Ruoxian, Liang Bing and others changed, and they looked at Xiao Chen in disbelief. The Pinnacle Emperora. That is the terrifying existence of the 9th level of the Emperor, commonly known as the Great Emperor. Even Lu Ruoxian at his peak couldn't compete with this kind of existence. Didn't expect Xiao Chen to have such a method. You don't have to think that my trump card is invincible. Seeing Lu Ruoxian, Liang Bing and others, they were all shocked and confused. Xiao Chen waved his hand again and smiled lightly. This trump card comes from my inheritance. Once it is deployed, it will allow me to obtain the 9th level cultivation of the Emperor, but it can only last for a quarter of an hour at most. So this trump card can compete with the Peak Emperor, but it is not enough to kill such a strong man. Lu Ruoxian, Liang Bing and others are his confidant and people he can trust. Even if you tell a few people about this trump card, Xiao Chen doesn't think there's anything wrong with it. Thus, it can also give a few people some peace of mind. Even if he is suddenly involved in any crisis in the future, Lu Ruoxian and others will not be scared to death. Young master is indeed a divine man. After a moment of silence, Lu Ruoxian exclaimed with emotion on his face, looking at Xiao Chen with brilliant eyes. She thought she knew Xiao Chen well enough, but she didn't expect that the other party was still so mysterious, which made her a little emotional. Next, I'll bother you guys to set up formations around them first. Seeing the restless expressions on Lu Ruoxian and others' faces, Xiao Chen didn't have any proud look on his face, but spoke to them in a soft voice. After Xiao Chen finished speaking, Lu Ruoxian, Liang Bing, and Luo Yulian, the 3 supremes, began to arrange formations around them. As for Huo Tianshang, Huo Xuanwu and others, Xiao Chen teleported them all back to Dongyuan Huo's house through the formation disc on the chariot. But Feng Qishuan stayed. After all, the opponent now has the cultivation level of Saint King 9th level, so he might be able to put it to use when a fight breaks out. Sir, do we need to go back first? After seeing Huo Tianshang and others leaving, Kaiyan and others came over and asked. Although they had just refined the purple pill of resurrection, their cultivation levels had returned to their original state, and even their basic foundations were stronger than before. But what will break out next is a supreme level fight. Their cultivation level when they entered Saint Realm was completely unsatisfactory. If they stayed, they might become a burden. This made Kyan feel powerless. In just over 2 months, her growth from the 9th level of heaven to the 6th level of sainthood is enough to shock the world even if you look at the eastern domain. But Xiao Chen's growth rate is even more terrifying. Not only his cultivation level has skyrocketed to the 7th level of heaven and human realm. Even the world she came into contact with was beyond her imagination. In less than 3 months, he came into contact with a figure of the eastern domain supreme level from a small place in the eastern wasteland. And she couldn't stand in front of Xiao Chen to protect him like she did at the beginning. This made Kyan feel very disappointed. Even Duan Muzuying, Michelle Yeoh, and others looked a little gloomy at this moment, and even looked a little hesitant. Because Xiao China's growth rate is so fast, the level of contact will be higher next. They won't be of much help in the future, and may even become a burden. So they all began to worry, will Xiao Chen feel tired of this in the future? 64%. Chapter 311. So, I want to invite you to drink with me. I wonder if some beauties can show your respect. Need nota. Xiao Chen laughed dumbly when he heard this, with a look of helplessness on his face. Look at you guys. After leaving the secret realm, their expressions became more reserved. Everyone must be thinking wildly again. As he spoke, Xiao Chen couldn't help but lift Kyan's chin, glanced at Duan Muzuying and others, and spoke with magnetism at this time. You are all my confidant who grew up with me when I was weak. They all have an irreplaceable position in my heart. This has nothing to do with your status or strength. No matter what happens in the future. As long as you don't take the initiative to leave me, I won't abandon you. This is my guarantee to you and my affirmation to myself. Besides, I hope you won't show that humble attitude when you get along with me in the future, and don't blindly change your original personality just because you want to cater to and please me. Remember, you are my women, not my slaves. So you have the qualifications and confidence to get along with me as an equal, and there is no need to feel that you owe me anything. Because this is the pampering and respect that you deserve as you accompany me to grow up. You can be grateful, but you should not be humble. The low and emotional words echoed in the ears of Kyan and others, causing them to raise their heads sharply. Everyone looked at Xiao Chen with trembling eyes, and their hearts were so moved at this moment. Although I knew that Xiao Chen respected and doted on them, I never expected that it would reach this level. They will not regard them as a burden just because they cannot keep up with each other's growth, nor will they look down on them and feel inferior just because they cater to them. They are even asked to hold their chests high and deal with each other as equals. This moment, whether it was Kyan, Duan Muzuying or others, the softest place deep in their hearts was severely impacted and shaken by Xiao Chen. These words kept echoing in my mind, and my breathing gradually became faster. This life, although Xiao Chen doesn't want them to become humble, they are still willing to change into each other's shape. Because, this is what Xiao Chen deserves. After drinking too much and sweating, Sister Zhongli changed into black clothes and asked me to come over frequently to drink. She would take me to her hotel apartment another day, saying that the faucet there was also broken. Wow, brother-in-law, what you said is great. Katie's heart is like a deer, almost jumping out of her chest. When the girls were so moved, Kai Dai jumped directly in front of Xiao Chen and hung on him. It seemed that he wanted the two hearts to resonate with each other at close range, so that Xiao Chen could feel how excited she was at this time. It's a pity that people's hearts are separated by mountains. Xiao Chen only felt a strong sense of oppression. It seemed that if he was pressed any further, he would be unable to bear it and explode. You damn girl, are your skin itchy? Seeing Kai Dai not only shout out this title in front of Duan Muzuying and others, but also so bold and unbridled. Kyan couldn't help but raise her eyebrows, and went over to grab Katie's ears. I want to pull Kai Dai off Xiao Chen's body. Hey, it hurts. Kai Dai grabbed her ears by Kai Yan, and Kai Dai shouted angrily. So what if I'm just itchy? If my sister hasn't been beaten for a few days, she will definitely be itchy and unbearable. After hearing these two words from Kai Dai, it was not only Kai Yan who was shocked. Even Duan Muzuying and others were collectively dumbfounded. Obviously not expecting it, this sister of Queen Medusa could actually say such powerful words. Even Xiao Chen couldn't help but blush when he heard this. This girl is really getting bolder and bolder, and she really dares to say anything. Good on you, Nai Dai. Do you think I won't dare to hit you because you are my sister and the young master will protect you? When Kyan heard this, she was immediately furious. The next moment she showed her dignity as a sister and prepared to give Kai Dai a lesson. Sir, look. My sister wants to hit me again. She must be itchy too. Seeing Kai Yan's menacing look, Kai Dai hid directly behind Xiao Chen, then stuck out her head and said pitifully. I admit that I was wrong, but I don't want to be taught a lesson by my sister. She didn't hit me lightly or hard. The last time she spanked me, my butt was swollen. I'd better let you teach me a lesson. Although the young master also hit me, he still knew the severity of the blow, so it didn't hurt so much, and it was a little woo woo woo. When he heard Kai Dai hiding behind him and talking nonsense, Xiao Chen quickly turned around and covered his mouth. Really, Arya? You dare to say anything? Isn't this a shame? Shut up and wait until you go back to the house and see how I deal with you. After covering the other person's mouth, Xiao Chen gave a stern warning. But this sentence, not only did Kai Dai not show a panicked expression, but her face was full of surprise and expectation, and her eyes couldn't help but shine. I wish Xiao Chen would teach her a lesson right now. It's better to smoke to death. Only in this way can her sin-filled heart get some comfort from the severe blow. Haha, don't be too happy too early. Sister, I won't let the young master teach you alone. Seeing Kai Dai's lips almost twisting into a smile, Kai Yan said in a faint voice. These words full of the Queen's majesty immediately made Kai Dai's little face freeze slightly. Thinking of my sister's domineering ways, Katie looked at Xiao Chen aggrievedly, and her voice sounded a little coquettish. Sir, look at my sister, she is so cruel and her methods are very rude. How about we stop playing with her later? He felt Kai Dai shaking his arm and acting coquettishly towards him with a sweet and tea-like look on his face. The corner of Xiao Chen's mouth twitched slightly, and a wave of evil fire instantly appeared. I don't think there's anything wrong with it. What's more, I can be very cruel and savage when provoked. You alone cannot bear this kind of anger. No, sir, I can bear it. Katie has been bullied by her sister since she was a child, and her ability to withstand attacks is already very strong. After hearing Xiao Chen's words, Katie hurriedly replied. Duan Muzuiying, Shu Danqing and others on the side were all messed up in the wind after hearing the conversation between them. I thought that the relationship between them and Xiao Chen was already a bit ridiculous and shameful. Did not expect there are mountain-high mountain. Compared with the sister of Queen Medusa who looks innocent and a little shy on the outside, but is very different on the inside. They are simply sisters. If that's the case, then let's all come together. It happens to be more lively when there are more people. I happen to have a jar of fine wine here, and I can drink some wine to cheer up. After speaking, Xiao Chen took out a wine jar from the system space. The aroma of wine, accompanied by vast spiritual energy fluctuations, filled the air on the double-headed dragon chariot. What a even more bizarre Isa. Surrounding the wine jar, there was actually one black and one white, that is, one yin and one yang, like the aura of two black and white dragons. What a strange jar of spiritual wine that actually contains the energy of yin and yang. After feeling the yin and yang energy contained in it, Kyan, Duan Muzuiying and others looked surprised. This is yin and yang twin wine, an extremely rare spiritual wine, and its quality has reached Saint King level. Brewing it requires the 8 Xuanyang spirit medicines and the 8 Xuanyan spirit medicines to match each other, and the grade must be Saint King level. The secret method was used to seal the entering spirit spring cold pool and brew it for 99 and 81 years before brewing this special Saint King Supreme grade spiritual wine. Seeing the surprised expressions on Kyan and others' faces, Xiao Chen also smiled and explained. And this wine, not only does it contain majestic spiritual energy, one bite can make a person's cultivation skyrocket, it even contains the energy of yin and yang. It allows people to have the opportunity to realize the artistic conception of yin and yang while tasting wine. As he spoke, Xiao Chen showed a strange look on his face, and his expression became somewhat meaningful. It's just that the back of the wine is too strong, which will lead to an imbalance of yin and yang in the body, making it easy to have sexual intercourse after drinking. That means, you cannot drink this wine alone, at least 2 people must drink it together, and they must be of the opposite sex. And I tend to be greedy when drinking, so I want to invite you to drink with me. I wonder if some beauties can show your favor. 65%. Chapter 312 Ruoxian. Looking forward to that day. On top of the chariot. At Xiao Chen's suggestion, Kyan, Duan Muzuiying and others looked blushing. Although they felt a little embarrassed among themselves, these 10 beauties did not refuse the invitation. One by one, they walked into the pavilion and tasted the fine wine with Xiao Chen. At a time when things are changing, Xiao Chen also experienced what it means in the pavilion wing, a wine pond and a forest of meat. This emperor-like life is actually nothing more than that. Time flew by and 2 days passed in the blink of an eye. Lu Ruoxian and Liang Bing and others set up formations and hid behind the void. Xiao Chen opened his eyes suddenly in the side room, and a powerful cultivation aura swept through him. In just 2 days, with the sacrifice of Cayenne and other 10 beauties, coupled with the powerful medicinal power of yin-yang twin wine, not only did Xiao Chen completely consolidate his skyrocketing cultivation level, he also made an unstoppable breakthrough to the 9th level of heaven and man, and even comprehended the more powerful artistic conception of yin and yang. There is only one step left in cultivation before you can step into the saint realm. I'm finally going to be a saint, so soon. Feeling the majestic true energy surging in his body, Xiao Chen slowly restrained his cultivation aura, with a look of sadness on his face. I thought it will take at least several months to reach the saint realm. Unexpectedly, in just over 2 months, his cultivation level has reached the 9th level of heaven and human realm. Next, as long as you work a little harder, you can easily break through the barriers to cultivation. And Cayenne, Duan Muzuying and others. After absorbing a large amount of Xiao Chen's life essence and the medicinal power of refining yin and yang twin wine, each one of them also received huge benefits. Cayenne's cultivation has broken through to the 7th level of sainthood, and Kai Dai's cultivation has broken through to the 4th level of sainthood. Duan Muzuying has broken through to the 3rd level of sainthood, while Duan Muzuying, Xu Danqing, and Michelle Yeoh have broken through to the 2nd level of sainthood. As for Lu Hanfei and Li Qingying, as well as Yun Zhiro and Li Mengru, their cultivation levels have all reached the 9th level of heaven and human realm. Certainly, if not for what follows, a supreme level war may break out, and they can break through to the saint realm at any time. Wow, this is the first time I know that drinking alcohol not only makes your body extremely hot, but also makes you feel more energetic than when you are sober. I love this wine so much. Just when Xiao Chen couldn't help but sigh, looking forward to having a fight with Lu Ruoxian after breaking through to Saint Realm. As soon as Kai Dai stabilized her cultivation, she rushed over and hugged the jar of wine, her pretty face still pressed against the jar. This thinga. It was a bit spicy when I first tasted it, but as it gained momentum, it really gained some steam. In particular, this wine is still not a serious wine. One drink will completely stimulate some kind of primitive desire, allowing her body refining experience to reach its best state. It can not only improve her cultivation level, but also enjoy the pleasure above the clouds. It is simply the treasure she dreams of. Xiao Chen, Kai Yan and others saw Kai Dai like this. There was a look of helplessness on their faces. This woman, after his nature was completely aroused, he really fell to the point of being hopeless. Okay, it's time to go out. Calculating the time, the powerful men from several major forces should have arrived in the eastern wasteland. Seeing Kai Dai's eyes shining brightly, as if she wanted to have a few more drinks with him, Xiao Chen spoke in a loving voice. Finished. Xiao Chen took the lead to walk out of the pavilion. Cayenne and others' expressions froze, and they all followed. When I came home drunk, I saw my mother-in-law's sharp eyes, asking me where I had gone to fool around. Even when they went to the hospital to pick me up, they couldn't find anyone. I panicked at that moment. Come to the outside of the chariot palace. The two-headed demon dragon puppet has returned from the transcending tribulation. The chariot is not suspended in the void, but is hidden under the cliff of the 10,000 demons Hanyuan. There are also hidden formations arranged by Lu Ruoxian around. In addition, Xiao Chen has also turned on the automatic shielding function. Even if the double-headed dragon chariot is very large, it will not be sensed by the supreme realm and the surrounding world. They all looked calm, and there were no formation patterns flickering, but under Xiao Chen's identification ability. A formation hidden in the void also appeared in front of Xiao Chen's eyes. 10,000 transformations demonic vine formation. Supreme grade formation, possessing the power of wood and the power of darkness. Once fully deployed, it can evolve into demonic vine purgatory, easily killing supreme warriors. After seeing this piece of information in front of him, Xiao Chen couldn't help but condense his eyes. Did not expect. Just relying on the Saint King level materials he gave me, there are still a few treasures that barely reach the supreme level. Lu Ruoxian, Liang Bing and others. They can set up a supreme grade formation. These two people are truly worthy of being powerful emperors. With the help of this law manifestation, even if all the top leaders of the four major forces come out, we may not be able to fight in the future. Looking at the formation in the void, Xiao Chen couldn't help but sigh. It's great when a beauty is strong. Outside, he can go into battle to kill enemies and clear away all troubles for him, while inside, he can accompany him to relieve stress heartily. This is his good wife. Sure enough, I still can't hide it from the young master's discerning eyes. Seeing that Xiao Chen could see through the formation they had arranged just by looking up, Lu Ruoxian sighed in surprise. Liang Bing and Luo Yulian also looked surprised. This formation, even a powerful person at the peak of Supreme might not be able to detect it unless he pays special attention. I didn't expect Xiao Chen to see through it so easily. This kind of insight is truly terrifying. Young master, you should have gained a lot in these 2 days, right? Seeing that Xiao Chen just smiled without any complacency on his face, Lu Ruoxian asked again. Now Xiao Chen has turned on the shielding function, as long as the other party does not take the initiative to burst out. Even if it's close, it was also difficult for her to see through the other party's cultivation level. Not bad. My cultivation level has reached the 9th level of heaven and human beings. I should be able to enter the Saint Realm in a few days. By then, I should be able to purify the dark and ominous power from you faster. Xiao Chen smiled lightly when he heard this and said something meaningful. These words fell. Lu Ruoxian's body trembled slightly, a rare blush appeared on his face, and a trace of nervousness flashed across his expression at this moment. Of course she remembers her promise to Xiao Chen when she was in the Huo family. When Xiao Chen becomes a saint, her willow flower will also bloom for the other person. I just didn't expect it to happen so soon. In less than half a month, the other party was about to break into Saint Realm. It actually made her feel a little nervous. Ruoxian. Looking forward to that day coming. After suppressing the shyness and nervousness in her heart, Lu Ruoxian responded in a soft voice, as if she was already prepared in her heart. This sentence. There was no strong emotional fluctuation, but it made Xiao Chen feel an impulse. He almost wanted to forcefully break through to the Saint Realm, and purify Lu Ruoxian of the unknown power of darkness, so that this willow flower would bloom with its most brilliant brilliance. Sir, they are coming. Just when Xiao Chen was about to say something, Lu Ruoxian's eyes narrowed and he spoke in a low voice. The faces of Xiao Chen and others became solemn, and they all looked up into the void. Boom. The next moment, under the gazes of Xiao Chen, Lu Ruoxian and others, the space suddenly exploded in the void thousands of feet away. Figures with extremely terrifying auras came out of the turbulent space. The leaders were two white-haired old men, whose aura was like a bright sun. It made the entire world tremble slightly. There were more figures following behind. Although their aura was not as good as those two old men, they were all supreme powerhouses. And this group of people, surprisingly, they were all the senior officials of the Ming family. After tearing apart the void and traveling for 2 days, they arrived at the eastern wasteland hundreds of millions of miles away. This time, the losses suffered by the Ming family due to the secret realm will all be recovered from Lu Shen. 65%. Chapter 313 Old Guy, are you still confused about who is the hunter and who is the prey? 2 supremes are at the 7th level, 1 is at the 6th level, 1 is at the 5th level, 1 is at the 4th level, and 2 are at the 3rd level. Is this Ming family crazy? So many supreme warriors were dispatched. After seeing Ming Yan and his group in the void, Xiao Chen had a look of surprise on his face. So many supreme powerhouses. This time, the Ming family can be said to have unleashed its high-end combat power. Even if 2 supreme realm experts died, they wouldn't be so mobilized, right? Is it possible this group of people has obtained their key information? That's why they went out collectively to kill them completely to avoid future accidents. Sir, do you want to take action now? Seeing Ming Yan, Zhan Miao and his group appear within the range of the formation, Lu Ruoxian said in a solemn voice. The 7 supreme powers. If they activate the formation to block and suppress, and there is a powerful person like Tian Xie, they should be able to keep him. They are just afraid that these people have some trump cards and they will pay some price for it. But Xiao Chen is here. As long as he didn't die on the spot, it wouldn't be a big deal even if he was severely injured. Take a look first. The strong men from the other 3 major forces haven't arrived yet. Let's see if we can catch them all. After hearing Lu Ruoxian's words, Xiao Chen said in a low voice. Since we have laid a dragnet here, what we want is to catch them all by surprise. It is best to wait for everyone to gather before taking action. This can also be done once and for all. No. They all left indeed. Just before Xiao Chen finished speaking, Ming Yan and Zan Miao's soul thoughts spread wildly, and their expressions became extremely gloomy at this moment. Search carefully within 100 miles to see if you can find any clues. This time, we must find Lu Shen and kill him completely in the shortest possible time. If we don't let the other three major forces know about her existence, it will be difficult for us to seize her 10,000-year willow heart. The cold words echoed in the void, which not only made everyone in the Ming family look slightly shuddered. Even Xiao Chen, Lu Ruoxian and others' expressions changed at this time. Several supremes of the Ming dynasty. He actually knew Lu Ruoxian's identity and was here for him. When the thought fell, a cold and bone-chilling murderous intention shot up from his body. Seal the world and kill without mercy. As the sounds of these words fell, the expressions of Luo Yulian and others changed. Xiao Chen just said that we should wait and see what happens. Unexpectedly, his murderous intent was so high now that he wanted to take the initiative to kill Ming Yan and his party. And all this, it was only because of these few people that they came up with Lu Ruoxian's idea. Lu Ruoxian on the side. Seeing Xiao Chen being so impulsive, there was no blame on his face, but a hint of sweetness. Xiao Chen, who had always been able to analyze things calmly, was completely murderous at this moment. This shows how important she is in the other person's heart. Sure enough, it was still hard to escape the fate of being educated. Afterwards, my mother-in-law said very gently that she liked a wild son-in-law like me who could make her feel young. They're still here. After feeling Xiao Chen's murderous intent, a supreme from the Ming family said with a shocked expression. Obviously not expecting it, there were actually other people hiding around here, and even the supremes didn't notice them. Ha 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 ha, you are still hiding around, you are really brave. Hear Xiao Chen's voice. Feeling the killing intent, Ming Yan looked over and laughed wildly at this moment. Ever since I stepped into this world, I felt something was wrong. Within a radius of dozens of miles, there is not even a single life fluctuation. Not even heavenly rank monsters dare to enter this place. This only proves, not long ago, there were powerful people beyond Saint Realm operating here, otherwise these low-level monsters wouldn't be so afraid. As expected, you are still here. As the words fell, Ming Yan raised his hand and waved lightly. A terrifying force of true energy cut through the sky like a thundering roar, blasting towards Xiao Chen and his party. Old bitcha, what are you crazy about? Seeing the incoming true energy, Liang Bing snorted and burst into cultivation. The demonic power traveled across the sky and collided with the true energy. The roar shook the whole world instantly, and the devastating impact swept away. Luo Yulian exploded his cultivation to block the impact. At this time, Lu Ruoxian formed seals with his hands, directly triggering the formations hidden around him. Countless nocturnes filled with strange black energy burst out of the ground like demonic tentacles, and even vines appeared out of thin air in the void. For a moment the earth shook. Whether in the sky or underground, you can see magic vines one after another. It was like the heaven and earth within a radius of dozens of miles had completely turned into a demonic purgatory. The destructive aura filled the void, causing the expressions of Ming Yan and others to change. Supreme level advanced formation. Feeling the terrifying aura lingering on this formation, the faces of Ming Yan, Zan Miao and others also became very solemn. But it was only solemn, not showing any fear or despair. Although formations of supreme level and above have the ability to eliminate them, it also depends on the cultivation level of the main formation. Not to mention it's not like they don't have any trump cards in their hands. You actually set up a supreme formation here. It seems that you expected us to come here and plan to catch all of us in one fell swoop. After glancing at the formation, Ming Yan looked at Xiao Chen and sneered in a serious voice. Unfortunately, just one supreme high-level formation, plus a few supremes and a bunch of miscellaneous fish can't threaten our group. As he said that, Ming Yan looked at Lu Ruoxian with a look of greed on his face. After feeling Lu Ruoxian's current cultivation aura, his body even trembled slightly with excitement at this moment. Supreme second level. You only have the cultivation level of Supreme second level now. I never imagined that Lu Shen, who was once famous in the Eastern Domain, would be in such a state of decline now. No wonder you don't dare to appear in the Eastern Domain, but instead hide in the Eastern Domain and dominate. It turns out that your cultivation has dropped to such a low level. This is truly a God-sent match. After the last sentence fell, Ming Yan also took a step at this time. The terrifying supreme pressure swept across the world, and his eyes were directly fixed on Lu Ruoxian. Take action. Help me block the formation attack. Within 10 breaths, I will capture this divine maiden Emperor Lu. While the words echoed, a bright sun appeared behind Ming Yan, and the shadow of a golden flame black bird rushed out of the sun, and followed Ming Yan towards Lu Ruoxian's suppression. Old guy, are you still confused about who is the hunter and who is the prey? Seeing that Ming Yan dared to rush towards them directly after talking nonsense, Xiao Chen sneered in a serious voice. At the same time as the voice came out, Xiao Chen raised his hand and waved lightly. Tian Xie, who was refining the demon spirit soul-captivating flower in the chariot pavilion, was directly teleported outside and thrown towards Ming Yan. What the hell? Seeing Xiao Chen suddenly throwing someone towards him, Ming Yan was stunned for a moment and his pupils shrank slightly, and a feeling of uneasiness exploded in his heart. But at this moment, he didn't have time to stop. Then he hit this person with a palm. Boom! Accompanied by a roar like a metal collision, the terrifying impact instantly collapsed thousands of feet of void. A hoarse and angry voice also echoed throughout the world. FKU. Who dares to interrupt my refining of heavenly materials and earthly treasures? 65%. Chapter 314. Are they sure they have come to the eastern wasteland and not the ancient battlefield? Along with the harsh words, a terrifying force of evil energy burst out, and Tian Xie instantly fell into a state of rage. His soul power cultivation level had just returned to the supreme 8th level, and he was only a little short of returning to the supreme 9th level. Unexpectedly, he received a slap at the critical moment. As a result, all the medicine he had not refined was dissipated, and his Goba almost collapsed. Forgot, he doesn't seem to have. But that's not the point. The point is, who the hell dares to take action against him? And when Tianxi is furious, Ming Yan was also thrown away on the spot, his energy and blood boiling violently, and a look of horror appeared on his face. This kind of terrifying fluctuation in cultivation level turned out to be the supreme 9th level realm. I threw you out to fight the enemy. Do you have any objections? Seeing Tian Xie screaming in the void, Xiao Chen spoke calmly from behind. The master is in danger. If he doesn't throw the slave out first, will he still keep him for the festival? Hearing Xiao Chen's words, Tian Xie's whole body trembled. Then I remembered, although he is still an emperor-level expert from the heavenly demon clan, he already has an additional demon lord above his head. From now on, we have to rely on the Lord Demon Lord, who has an opinion in his heart. Jia, Lord Demon Lord is wise. I was born to be a shield. Being able to be thrown out by the Lord Demon Lord against the enemy at a critical moment is the greatest honor for me in this life. It is enough to make me shine for the rest of my life. After trembling in his heart, Tianxi let out a strange laugh and quickly began to praise Xiao Chen. Ming Yan and others were all dumbfounded when he flattered him one after another. A powerful person in the 9th level of the Supreme Realm, so shamelessly flattering others. Who is this young man in front of me? Not only is Lu Shen following him, but now this strong man appears. They seem to be in trouble. Okay, let's deal with them quickly and don't cause any trouble. After seeing Tian Xie suddenly change his face and turn into a flatterer, Xiao Chen interrupted him and said. This sentence fell. The expressions of Ming Yan and others immediately changed, and they all stood ready at this moment. I and Mr. Zan will hold this guy back first, and you two will join forces to take down Lu Shen and others. The moment Tian Xie turned around, Ming Yan shouted anxiously. He and Zan Miao are both strong men at the peak of the 7th level of Supreme. Their combat power is basically infinitely close to that of the 8th level of Supreme. Together, the two of them can fight against the strong men of the 8th level of Supreme. The supreme powerhouse who has just appeared in front of him has a fluctuating cultivation level that has reached the 9th level of supreme. But he had just been thrown out of seclusion and received a firm slap on his back, so his body must have suffered backlash and trauma. Even if he and Zan Miao are defeated after joining forces, they should still be able to hold off the opponent for a while. When the thought falls, Ming Yan and Zan Miao both sacrificed their king-respecting soldiers, and when their cultivation levels exploded, they started to kill Tian Xie. And Ming Wudao, Ming Yaohui and others. He looked at Lu Ruoxian with ferocious eyes, and while shouting lowly, he also sacrificed his king's soldiers, and used divine ability to kill him. Hold. Seeing Ming Wudao and others coming to kill them, Lu Ruoxian and others were very sensible and did not rush out to fight with these people. Surrounded by the double-headed demon dragon chariot, his hands formed a series of seals at this time. Next moment, a series of majestic light pillars. It erupted from Lu Ruoxian, Liang Bing, and Luo Yulian, and was then connected to this supreme formation. Tentacles of magic vines filled with black energy surrounded the chariot overwhelmingly, forming a terrifying protective cover of magic vines. After being bombarded with Ming Wudao and others, the roar shook the world again. Under the bombardment of Ming Wudao and others, the demonic vines continued to collapse, but new vines kept pouring out. And the bursting vines. There was also a strange dark aura that began to permeate the world. That kind of smell. It seems to erode the true essence and make people weak. Damn it, this formation is integrated with the endless life of the wood element and the weird and weak ability of the dark element. We can't break it in a short time. After bombarding the magic vine cage, Ming Wudao roared loudly at this time. Oh shit, a supreme high-level formation was deployed. They thought it was for attack, but they didn't expect that it was for defense. Only now did they understand each other's intentions. This is to use formations to block and suppress the void, as well as to defend and block their attacks. Then let the supreme 9th level realm expert kill them one by one in the formation cage. It was really a cheating and shameless method. When I came into the room, I was dumbfounded when I saw Medusa. What kind of look is this? It's going to explode just by looking at it, she said. This is the look she just learned after 2.5 days of chasing stars. If you can't break it, why don't you come over and help me and Mr. Zan? Seeing that Ming Wudao and others were unable to do anything to Xiao Chen and his party, Ming Yan and Zan Miao were easily blasted away by Tian Xie. He roared with blood spurting from his mouth. Damn it. I thought that this person's combat power would be weakened due to the backlash and trauma. But I didn't expect it. This guy is like a normal person. He can make them vomit blood with a casual blow. He is simply invincible in the supreme realm. This kind of fighting power. Not to mention holding the opponent for a while, even 3 breaths is difficult to do. Quick victory. While Ming Yan was roaring anxiously, Xiao Chen looked at the battle situation outside the magic vine guard. He raised his hand and lightly grabbed it in the void, and the 5 elements Shira spear appeared in his hand. As soon as the words reached Tian Xia's ears, he threw a gun and shot towards the opponent. The 5 elements Shira spear has now been upgraded to the supreme grade by him, and combined with Tian Xia's comprehensive strength to reach the supreme 9th level, killing these guys is no longer a joke. Jia, with the help of Lord Demon Lord's Shira spear, it's time for you little trash to hit the road. Tian Xia raised his hand to catch the 5 elements Shira spear that burst out. The power of the evil element poured into the spear like a torrent, and a terrifying phantom of the heavenly demon also appeared behind him. Next moment, Tian Xie swung a spear at several people, and the void collapsed in a radius of 10,000 feet. The destructive force was like a tsunami, sweeping towards Ming Yan and the others. No, use your trump card and hold it for me. Old master, save me. Seeing this unrivaled power, Ming Yan, Ming Wudao and others roared crazily. One by one, they used their trump cards to block this terrifying blow. No, Tianxi's power is too terrifying, and the formation cannot suppress the impact. Seeing Tian Xia's unparalleled power, the expressions of Lu Ruoxian, Liang Bing and others also changed drastically. Cut off the connection with the formation. At this moment, in order to prevent the formation from being backfired by Broken Heart Soul, Lu Ruoxian spoke quickly to Liang Bing and others. Liang Bing and Luo Yulian were not stupid either. They had already cut off the connection with the formation almost as soon as Lu Ruoxian said it. Boom. The next moment, the roar was like the roar of the sky, and it shook hundreds of miles around in an instant. The void within a radius of 10 miles has completely collapsed into nothingness. The indescribable storm impact swept across the entire world, and the abyss below was also trembling and collapsing. Lu Ruoxian, Liang Bing and others all went crazy with their cultivation, and gathered together to guard the barrier to protect the double-headed dragon chariot. Such terrifying power. It was already infinitely close to the Emperor level, and the area within 100 miles was completely changed beyond recognition in the impact. Several elders of the Ming family who were weaker in cultivation were still torn into pieces by this impact even after using their trump cards. There are only 4 Supremes, Ming Yan, Zan Miao, Ming Wudao and Ming Yaohui. One by one, they were lucky enough to block the blow after using their trump cards and paying a heavy price. But they all looked very miserable. Either arms and legs are missing, or the chest bursts and collapses, or the lower body is gone. They all seemed to be in a severely disabled state, and their physical bodies probably couldn't be saved afterwards. Of course, these people must be able to leave alive. But also at this time, when this wave of divine ability collision broke out, figures one after another descended on this world. When they saw such a terrifying scene in front of them, every one of them was so frightened that they were stunned in the void. Tama, are you sure you are in the eastern wasteland and not the ancient battlefield? 65%. Chapter 315 Gia, no matter how many of you come, they will all be the same in front of me. Sir, the powerful men from the other major forces seem to have arrived. When the figures descended into the void one after another, Lu Ruoxian and others all looked over collectively, their expressions becoming extremely solemn at this moment. And that group of people in the void. Several of the figures were white-haired women, exuding a monstrous cold aura. At first glance, they were the supreme powerhouses of the Taiyan sect. The other figures carried heavy swords on their backs and exuded a sharp kendo aura. At first glance, they were the supreme powerhouses of the heavenly sword sect. And beyond, several figures were wearing star map robes, with little stars lingering around them, and their auras seemed very ethereal. This group of people was Luo Chenyi and several elders of Xingqian Pavilion. There are actually 14 supreme warriors from the three major forces in total. If these guys join forces, I'm afraid Tian Xie won't be able to handle it. It doesn't matter, if Tian Xie can't handle it, I will naturally take action to end it. After hearing Lu Ruoxian's words, Xiao Chen smiled lightly and said. Holding the ultimate trump card, he speaks with confidence. Everyone, the real culprits who destroyed our four major forces are the group of people in front of us, including the Lu Shen who was famous in the Eastern Domain more than 300 years ago. But after she was severely injured by the Lord of the Dark Forbidden Zone, her cultivation has now fallen to the supreme second level. If I can kill him and seize the 10,000-year-old Willow Heart, I can hope to become an emperor in this life. They also have an emperor weapon on them. If they can get it, they can also fly into the sky. Before Xiao Chen finished speaking, when Ming Yan and Zan Miao saw the powerful men from several major forces, they both shouted loudly and quickly. While talking, several people turned into a stream of light and rushed towards the Taiyan Gate and the Heavenly Sword Sect's troops. And the echoes of these words. Not only did the expressions of the powerful men from Taiyan Sect and Heavenly Sword Sect change, but it also made Luo Chenyi and the elders of Xingqian Pavilion feel numb. They only deduced. One of the real culprits who killed several powerful people was Wanian Liamu. But I didn't expect this person turned out to be the famous willow god of the Eastern Domain. This kind of existence, at its peak, was like a willow stick, no, a willow leaf. It is estimated that the entire Xingqian Pavilion can be destroyed. They didn't expect that they would provoke such a terrifying existence. After hearing this, Xiao Chen's face suddenly turned cold. Tian Xie, if you let them escape, I will refine you. Hearing Xiao Chen's words, Tian Xie was frightened. The power of evil energy exploded into the sky like a tsunami, and the entire world became extremely dark at this moment. It was as if the heaven and earth within a radius of 100 miles had been replaced, turning into a heavenly demon purgatory in the blink of an eye. Gia, you actually caused me to be warned by the demon lord, you bunch of ants will all die. As the world was completely blocked, the words echoed in the hundreds of miles of void. Tian Xie rushed towards Ming Yan and others like a demon. That kind of terrifying power caused the expressions of the powerful men from Taiyan Sect and Heavenly Sword Sect to change drastically in an instant. A strong man whose chi movement reaches the 9th level of the Supreme Realm, also controls an astonishing grade of King's weapon in his hand, and the combat power he can unleash is simply unimaginable and terrifying. They had just arrived in this void, and the other party was coming towards them. Isn't this just a case of being taken advantage of? After hearing me say that chasing stars is not good, classmate Medusa changed into a costume again, holding a dagger in her hand and said she wanted to do something exciting. What is exciting? Want to shave Kunkun's hair? Old ghost Ming Yan, you actually tricked us. Seeing a group of people approaching quickly, Heavenly Sword Sect and Old Man yelled. When his cultivation level exploded, he brought others with him to avoid the sharp edge temporarily. Although the powerful men of the Taiyan Sect did not speak at this moment, they all looked gloomy. He also wanted to keep a distance from Ming Yan and others. A furious supreme 9th level powerhouse, people like them can't bear the anger. Madness. If we die, you will all die too. Ming Yan and others were almost furious when they saw that the powerful men from Taiyan sect and Heavenly Sword sect actually chose to die without saving their lives. The words echoed sadly throughout the world. The expressions of the men and horses from the two major forces changed. I have to say, although this sounds ugly, it is true. If it is true as Ming Yan and others said, this group of people killed their men and still had an emperor weapon in their possession, then the other party will never let them leave. Jia Jia Jia, no matter how many of you come, they will all be the same in front of me. As Ming Yan's words echoed, Tian Xie also raised his hand and waved a spear while grinning, and the demonic shadows fell towards the crowd. That kind of destructive power made Ming Yan and others look desperate. Don't take action yet. In the roar, Ming Yan waved his hand and sacrificed his natal king's weapon, and exploded the treasure while roaring. The extremely terrifying impact hit the gun, causing Ming Yan's body to be thrown away and collapse. Zan Miao, Ming Wudao and others fought back desperately. Either he detonated his life weapon, or he used some kind of life-saving trump card. But under Tian Xia's attack, he was not as lucky as before. Ming Wudao and Ming Yaohui's bodies exploded completely, and Supreme's holy soul also escaped into the void at this moment, but before these two people could get away from the fighting storm, Tian Xie exploded with evil soul power in his strange smile, and soul chains shot out from his body. In an instant, the souls of Ming Wudao and Ming Yaohui were entangled. He forcefully pulled the two of them back. Heavenly Demon Soul Chain. He is a strong man from the Soul Clan. Seeing this scene in front of me, whether it is the strong men of Taiyan sect and Heavenly Sword sect, or many strong men such as Ming Yan and Luo Chenyi, everyone's scalp felt numb. Forget about the Lu Shen and the Emperor weapon who appeared just now. Now another powerful Soul Clan member has appeared. What is the origin of this group of people in front of me? No, old master, save me. When everyone was horrified, the souls of Ming Wudao and Ming Yaohui struggled wildly, and screamed at Ming Yan and others in a sad voice. But before anyone could react, the souls of Ming Wudao and Ming Yaohui were swallowed by Tian Xie. A dark and strange soul fire burned and erupted from the opponent's body. Tian Xia's soul power fluctuated suddenly at this moment, completely restored to the supreme 9th level, and then combined with the power of qi and blood of this physical body. The fluctuations of the evil energy in his body are already infinitely close to those of an emperor. Take action, we can't let him continue to get stronger. Feeling that Tian Xie was frantically refining the souls of Ming Wudao and Ming Yaohui, Taiyan sect and Heavenly Sword sect came to the eastern wasteland for several supreme powerhouses this time. Each and every one of them took action with thunder while shouting. The power of Supreme shook the heaven and earth, and its light shone like the sun. The Taiyan sword qi and the raging flame sword qi traveled across the sky, and streams of divine ability destroyed the heaven and earth and fell down. Luo Chenyi, why are you still standing there? Why don't you take action quickly? After Ming Yan and Zan Miao rushed to the rear dragging their remains, they saw that Luo Chenyi and his group did not even take action. He yelled with some anxiety in his voice. Although the elders of Taiyan sect and Heavenly Sword sect are good, it is difficult for them alone to compete with this guy. If we add the people from Xingqian Pavilion, maybe the situation will turn around. Even if they can't punish each other, they can still leave safely. You're right, it's really time for us to take action. After hearing the roars of Ming Yan and Zan Miao, and looking at the scene in front of him, Luo Chenyi's eyes flickered slightly. As if he had made some decision, a cold light flashed in his eyes, and his cultivation exploded at this moment. Next moment, dots of starlight shone in the void, and one arm was like an ancient god picking up stars, and it suppressed Ming Yan and Zan Miao. 65%. Chapter 316 I didn't expect that everyone would kneel down so easily. Luo Chenyi, are you crazy? Seeing Luo Chenyi suddenly take action against them, Ming Yan and Zan Miao's expressions changed drastically. During the burst of cultivation, they all fled towards the distance. If they were at their peak, none of them would be afraid of Luo Chenyi, and could even suppress the other in turn. After all, although Luo Chenyi is the current pavilion master of the Star Pavilion, his cultivation level has only reached the supreme 6th level, which is still far behind the two old guys. But now, both of them were in a severely injured state and were almost unable to compete against Luo Chenyi. Boom. The next moment, as the roar shook the world, the powerful men of Taiyan sect and Heavenly Sword sect were all swept away by Tian Xia's gun. A large amount of blood spurted out from his mouth, and he looked at Tian Xie with horrifying eyes. Just one blow. Not only did it detonate the divine ability attacks of the 8 Supremes, it also caused trauma to all of them. Is this the Supreme 9th level powerhouse? Sure enough, it is not a terrifying existence that a few midterm Supreme powerhouses can defeat together. At the same moment, Ming Yan and Zan Miao, being blasted from the sky by Luo Chenyi, the remains of his body hit the abyss ground hard, causing the ground below to tremble and collapse. Luo Chenyi. In the stern words, Ming Yan and Zan Miao screamed and exploded in cultivation, trying to fight each other desperately. Several other elders of Xingqian Pavilion swooped down from the void, and star patterns spread like spider webs, and in an instant they wrapped around the remains of Ming Yan and Zan Miao. The terrifying power of the seal exploded, forcing the two of them to suppress the seal on the spot. They seemed to be in a dog-eat-dog situation. After seeing all the battles taking place in the void, Xiao Chen, Lu Ruoxian and others' eyes narrowed slightly. Obviously I didn't expect it. The people in Xingqian Pavilion did not choose to join forces, but instead chose to take action against Ming Yan and others. Is this surrender? Or do we need to use these two supreme powerhouses to unleash some terrifying taboo divine ability? Be careful and watch out for them. As this thought fell, Xiao Chen said to Lu Ruoxian and others. Lu Ruoxian, Liang Bing and others also know the dangers of the human heart. They all stared at Luo Chenyi and others with solemn eyes. When I heard that I was a little tired and didn't want to wash Kunkuna's hair and comb it in the middle, classmate Medusa actually wanted to teach me a lesson like my mother-in-law, Yaxi, you haven't had sex in 2 days, right? Luo Chenyi, what on earth do you want to do? In the void. After being beaten to the point of vomiting blood by Tianxi, the strong man of Heavenly Sword Sect and Taiyan Sect. After noticing the movements on Luo Chenyi and Ming Yan's side, one by one they rushed over with loud shouts. If you want to sacrifice the two of them to use the forbidden divine ability, then use it quickly, we can't resist it for long. After hearing the words of the Heavenly Sword Sect elder, Ming Yan and Zan Miao's pupils shrank violently, with a look of fear and despair on their faces. If you dare to sacrifice your blood to us, the people behind the Ming family will not let you go. In panic, Ming Yan and Zan Miao roared hysterically. Jia Jia Jia, you want to sacrifice blood to your fellow clan members to deal with me, will I give you this opportunity? Also at this time, Tianxi swooped down like a world-destroying demon, and a terrifying silhouette of the heavenly demon appeared behind him. As he opened his mouth slightly, a substantial sound wave crashed down like a tsunami, causing everyone's expressions to change dramatically. This is Soul Attack. And it was a soul attack from the Heavenly Demon clan, which was far more terrifying than they imagined. Quick! Almost when the Yinhun attack was overturned, Luo Chenyi shouted with an anxious expression, and a seal was formed in his hand at this time. The other elders of Xingqian Pavilion also formed seals. The star pattern that originally condensed and sealed Ming Yan and Zan Miao burst out with bright light at this moment, and the surrounding blocked space was distorted. Time flies. Luo Chenyi, several elders of Xingqian Pavilion, as well as Ming Yan and Zan Miao, all disappeared at this time. The terrifying sound soul attack was also hitting many powerful people such as Heavenly Sword Sect and Taiyan Sect, causing these people's seas of consciousness to shake. As if his soul body was about to be torn apart by sound waves, a shrill roar came out of his mouth. Luo Chenyi, seeing the Xingqian Pavilion group teleporting away with Ming Yan and Zan Miao, the strong men from the two major forces collapsed on the spot. I thought these guys wanted to sacrifice these two people with blood. What forbidden divine ability was used to severely injure this Heavenly Demon clan strongman, but unexpectedly he broke through the void blockade and escaped directly. This makes them feel like they have been sold. Jia, 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 go to hell. While these people roared, Tianxi swung out another shot with a strange smile, blasting the 8 Supremes with destructive power. No matter how the 8 Supremes used their life-saving trump cards, the spear light still fell with great force, and all the divine abilities of the 8 Supremes collapsed and exploded. Under the bombardment of terror, even the body of Supreme, which was stronger than the holy soldiers, burst into a cloud of blood mist at this moment, and the body was violently blasted into the abyss. 8 Supremes. Even within the territory of Eastern Domain Profound Heaven, he is still a strong man who can dominate one side. At this time, they were extremely weak in front of Tian Xie, and all of them were severely injured in a matter of seconds. Also at this moment, the void not far in front of Xiao Chen and others suddenly distorted and burst into light at this moment, and the figures of Luo Chenyi and others emerged. Careful. Seeing the change in front of them, the expressions of Lu Ruoxian, Liang Bing and others changed, and they all burst into cultivation amidst low shouts. The power of true energy instantly filled the void, and based on the original protection, several more barriers were condensed. Even Xiao Chen's eyes narrowed, and his expression became solemn at this moment. He also thought that Luo Chenyi and others used formations to distort space for teleportation in order to break through the blockade between heaven and earth. Escape back to the eastern domain. Unexpectedly, it was teleported before his eyes. Could it be that this group of people wanted to use some kind of divine ability on them at close range so that they could capture them and contain Tian Xie? Jia, let me. Fku. Same on the other side. Tian Xie severely wounded the 8 Supremes and was about to die. He swung a shot and was about to kill several of them when he suddenly found that Luo Chenyi and others were around him. He even came so close to Xiao Chen that he almost scared his soul out. Don't hurt my lord. After letting out a strange scream, Tianxi burst out in an instant, and even the 8 Supremes couldn't take care of it. Although these people may not be able to hurt Xiao Chen. But don't be afraid of 10,000, just be afraid of the eventuality. If Xiao Chen was offended by these guys and vented his anger on him, he might be used to light a lamp. Your Excellency, Lord Demon, the villain Luo Chenyi and several elders are willing to surrender on behalf of Xingqian Pavilion. From now on, Xingqian Pavilion is a vassal force under the Demon Lord. All the powerful people in Xingqian Pavilion can be dispatched by the Demon Lord at will. The Demon Lord can favor all the beauties in Xingqian Pavilion at will. All the resources in Xingqian Pavilion can be used by Lord Demon at his will. The Demon Lord can come and go at will in all places above and below Xingqian Pavilion. And we, the supreme powerhouses, are willing to be controlled by the Demon Lord. We only ask the Demon Lord to give us a chance to ride on both sides and shed the last drop of blood for the Demon Lord. After speaking, Luo Chenyi knelt down in the void without any hesitation. Several elders of Xingqian Pavilion also knelt down together. They restrained their breath one by one, not daring to make any changes. This scene, not only did Xiao Chen, Lu Ruoxian and others look stunned, but they also made Tian Xie, Ming Yan and others look stupid. After taking a lot of trouble to move in front of Xiao Chen, they thought they were going to launch an attack. Didn't expect that one of them would kneel down so easily. 66%. Chapter 317 Surrendering means losing everything. Are you sure you have thought about it? Lord Demon Lord, we are both willing to surrender. The Ming family can also become a vassal force of Lord Demon Lord. Please give us a chance to be loyal to Lord Demon Lord. Before this shock lasted long, Ming Yan and Zan Miao also started shouting. At this time, they became prisoners. If they could surrender and get a chance to live, they would be willing to do so. After all, it is better to live than die. Even if you are controlled by others in the future, it is better than dying on the spot. As long as I find an opportunity in the future, I might be able to bite back and regain my freedom. FKU. You wanted to kill the Demon Lord just now, but now you actually have the nerve to say you are willing to surrender here. Just as Ming Yan yelled out his words, Luo Chenyi slapped him over, causing Ming Yan's old face to swell. A mouthful of blood spurted out from Ming Yan's mouth along with several teeth. Shameless old thing. What are you yelling about at this time? What if it irritates Xiao Chen? The other party doesn't even like them anymore. Wouldn't it be confusing to surrender this time? Luo Chenyi. After being slapped by Luo Chenyi, Ming Yan's mentality completely collapsed. The whole person was roaring like a mad dog. If his cultivation and body were not sealed, he really wanted to rush over and fight Luo Chenyi. Jia, Lord Demon Lord, it is enough for you to have a loyal dog like me. You guys should just chop them all into pieces and feed them to the dogs. Just as Ming Yan's words were heard, Tian Xie also descended with ferocity. The power of evil energy shakes the world. A terrifying claw covering the sky and the sun was photographed, causing the expressions of Luo Chenyi, Ming Yan and others to change drastically. Lord Demon Lord, I also know that there is a ruins of the Emperor's ancient tomb, which was left by the powerful people of the 9-colored sky-swallowing Python clan. Please Lord Demon Lord, can you give me one? Stop. Before Luo Chenyi finished speaking, Xiao Chen shouted in a low voice. The words exploded like thunder from the sky. In an instant, Tian Xia's body trembled slightly, and the devil's claw in the sky completely shattered. Terrifying storm impact. It swept over Luo Chenyi and others, making the backs of the group get wet. The remains of the Emperor's ancient tomb, the 9-color sky-swallowing python. Interesting. After hearing Luo Chenyi's words and feeling the colorful smoke and colorful butterflies around him, his body trembled violently at this moment. Xiao Chen also had a strange look on his face. If everything this guy said is true, then you need to go and take a look. Demon Lord, it's actually very simple to know. As long as I refine his soul, I can know what he knows. When Xiao Chen's eyes flickered, Tian Xie spoke at this moment. After saying that, he couldn't help but lick his lips and looked at these people greedily. If he could swallow and refine the souls of these people alive, his soul power cultivation should be restored to the level of the emperor. Being stared at greedily by Tian Xie, and after hearing these words, Luo Chenyi and others were so frightened that their faces turned pale, and they all looked at Xiao Chen in fear. Lord Demon Lord, we are definitely more useful alive than dead. If Xiao Chen wanted to search for their souls because of this news, then they would have to fight to the death. This young master can give you a chance, but you must also be subject to certain restrictions. We are willing to be planted with slave marks by the Demon Lord. Before Xiao Chen finished speaking, Luo Chenyi hurriedly replied, fearing that Xiao Chen would change his mind. Very good. Xiao Chen nodded slightly when he heard this, and looked at Ming Yan and Zan Miao. A look of solemnity flashed across his face. Come and kill these two people. Let Luo Chenyi and others kill Ming Yan and others. Regardless of whether the other party really wants to surrender, the escape route has been completely cut off at this moment. If this group of people wants to go back on their word in the future, they will not only face their anger, but also the anger of the people behind the Ming family. Luo Chenyi's face couldn't help but condense when he heard this, and he obviously understood Xiao Chen's intention. But this moment, they have no retreat. Now that you have made your choice, go all the way to the end. When the thought falls, biting murderous intent erupted from Luo Chenyi's body, and he couldn't help but look at Ming Yan and Zan Miao. No, if you kill us, the secret of Dawang's soul refining cauldron on you, and the information about Lu Shen's heavy injuries hiding in the eastern domain, will be passed on to the ears of the Dawang sect's senior officials. You and your group will definitely be dead by then. Seeing Luo Chenyi's murderous intent erupting into the sky and about to kill him, Ming Yan shouted hysterically. Kill. After hearing Ming Yan's words, Luo Chenyi's expression changed and he couldn't help but pause. As expected, this old guy had a backup plan and got involved with the Great Desolation sect. This is the top force in the eastern domain. However, Xiao Chen's expression didn't change much when he heard this. He just said the word in a cold voice. So what about the Great Wilderness sect? If he really dares to provoke them, he has the ability to make them miserable. Not to mention he also has an even more terrifying resurrection ability. At worst, use the Great Desolate Soul Refining Cauldron as a traceable object to resurrect the Great Desolate Emperor from this world, and let the senior officials of the Great Desolate sect come over to recognize their ancestors. This is his confidence as a wall hanging. She likes to make wonderful pens and flowers, and I like to dance with guns and sticks. My classmate Medusa and I hit it off immediately, and we had some discussions in the study room. I made up for my shortcomings and gave full play to my strengths. Boom. When Xiao Chen finished speaking, Luo Chenyi also exploded with cultivation and struck out with a palm. The destructive force fell on the two of them, instantly killing the vitality of Ming Yan and Zan Miao's physical bodies. When the two souls tried to escape, soul chains shot out from Tian Xia's body. A death coil came to these two people, pulling them into the sea of consciousness to swallow and refine. Far away, the powerful men from Taiyan sect and Taijian sect roared out when they saw what was happening in front of them. Demon Lord, we are all willing to surrender, and please spare our lives, Lord Demon. Now that this world is completely blocked, it is almost impossible for them to escape. Now it's either a fight to the death with Xiao Chen and his group, or be easily wiped out in the face of absolute power. Or let go of your pride and dignity and become a humble slave of the Demon Lord. Of these two choices, they choose the latter. After all, after living for 1,000 or 2,000 years, he finally reached the level of supreme and became a middle and upper class figure in the eastern domain. One look can determine the life or death of countless people. They haven't enjoyed enough of such beautiful days, how could they be willing to die in such frustration? Jia, everyone wants to surrender and become the Demon Lord's lackey. Where does this make me lose my face? As the words of the 8 Supreme Masters resounded, Tianxi came again with terrifying power, and the evil element burst out in an attempt to obliterate these people. Stopa. Seeing Tian Xie trying to kill the 8 Supremes, Xiao Chen's eyes flickered and his words echoed calmly. These two words, Tian Xie stiffened slightly, with a depressed look on his face. But it made all the 8 Supremes have a look of ecstasy on their faces. Thank you, Lord Demon Lord, for your mercy. We are willing to follow you to the death. Next moment, the 8 Supremes rushed in front of Xiao Chen, and they all knelt down like dogs. This made Qian, Duanmu Zuying and others feel trembling. The group of guys in front of them are all Supreme Realm experts, and each one of them is a terrifying existence that can kill them instantly. But now to survive. But all of them knelt down in front of their men. This kind of impact from the soul was simply unparalleled. Surrender. It means losing everything, including your lives, your wealth, your weapons, and even your bodies. Are you sure you have everything figured out? As he spoke, Xiao Chen glanced at the 8 supreme powerhouses, Heavenly Sword Sect and Taiyan Sect, and the corner of his mouth curled up with a sinister expression. If you are not willing to surrender, there is no need to wrong yourself and fight for dignity and blood. I will give you a more dignified way to die. 66%. Chapter 318. Being able to become the humble slave of the Demon Lord is the greatest honor in your life. The indifferent voice echoed throughout the world, causing all the Supremes to tremble and raise their heads in fear. We are all willing, and we ask the Demon Lord to grant it. As if they had a tacit understanding, several Supremes said in unison. That kind of humility and begging for mercy made everyone present couldn't help but sigh. This is the world of the weak and the strong. When the strong can control the fate of others, the weak can only humbly beg for mercy if they want to survive. Of course, they can also choose to fight and die for their dignity. But no one is willing to die generously if they can live. This is the instinctive fear of death. Tian Xie, plant a slave mark on them. With the strength of your soul, it shouldn't be difficult to control more than a dozen Supremes. After hearing the answers from these people, Xiao Chen gave instructions to Tian Xie. With his current level of cultivation and soul power strength, he can only be associated with up to 10 soul seals of life and death at the same time. At present, he has controlled the 5 elements undead corpse puppet, the 2-headed demonic dragon puppet, and Tian Xie, a powerful emperor realm man. As for the soul seals of life and death between Luo Yulian and Huang Guangjihai, he had long ago secretly disconnected them and completely dissipated them. Luo Yulian has been recognized and accepted by him. Although she has not really committed to him yet, she can be regarded as a beauty beside him. Naturally, there is no need to be on guard anymore. And Huang Guang is. His current growth rate is too terrifying. There is no need to worry that the Dakian Emperor will rebel, so there is no need to waste a soul seal quota. As for the dozen Supremes in front of him, although each of them is somewhat impressive, they don't need to be controlled by him personally. Jia, since the Lord Demon Lord has given the order, I will be disrespectful. After hearing Xiao Chen's words, Tian Xie let out a strange smile that made people laugh, and then condensed soul seals one after another. Let it float in front of Luo Chenyi and others. With this soul seal of integrated union, your life and death from now on will depend on my thoughts. Of course, I won't do anything to you without the Lord Demon Lord's permission. But if I notice that you have hatred towards the Demon Lord, don't blame me for punishing you, Jia. As the weird laughter echoed, all the supreme powerhouses present were shocked. The strongest heavenly demon tribe is best at controlling souls and seizing bodies. Once a slave mark is planted by them, even a strong person in the Emperor realm will be unable to break this bondage. But that's it. All the supreme warriors present did not resist, and after giving a wry smile, they all saw the soul mark in front of integrated union. Following the integrated union of soul mark and soul body, all supremes' bodies trembled slightly. A sudden feeling of fear also emerged from the depths of his soul. It seems that with just one thought from Tian Xie, he can detonate the soul seal and impact the soul body and true spirit, which is powerful enough to obliterate their souls. Jia, as the defeated, you should take the initiative. Seeing the bitter faces of everyone in front of him, Tian Xie reminded him with a strange smile. This made all Supremes' expressions stiffen, and then they quickly took off their storage rings and handed over their natal treasures. Lord Demon Lord, this is all our belongings. After handing over the Naji and their natal weapons, many supreme warriors showed reluctance on their faces. Especially the supreme masters of the Heavenly Sword Sect, each of them looked at their own natal swords and felt like they were about to be cheated. As a strong swordsman, the sword is like their companion, they usually eat, drink and play with each other. Now handing over the sword that had been stored for many years was even more uncomfortable than handing over their wife and daughter. As for the supreme powerhouses of Taiyan Sect, all of them were uneasy at this time. Just now Xiao Chen said. If they choose to surrender, not only will their possessions and treasures not belong to them, even their bodies will not belong to them. The body mentioned in this sentence is naturally meant for the Supremes, not Luo Chenyi and others. This also means that this Lord Demon Lord. Next, they may play with their bodies and take away the primordial yin that they have stored for more than 1,000 years. Think about Ida. Even if they are powerful people in the supreme realm, they still feel a little hesitant, a little confused, a little ashamed, a little. You guys keep the mysterious soldiers, and I will take the others away. Just when the Supremes were feeling bitter, Xiao Chen's words made them suddenly raise their heads and look at each other in disbelief. He actually allowed them to keep their own mysterious weapons. This Lord Demon Lord was so kind. When the thought falls, everyone looked ecstatic and looked at Xiao Chen gratefully. After taking a shower, classmate Medusa changed into a cheongsam. She patted the curls when she felt them. Unexpectedly, she turned around in shock and said, "Brother-in-law, what are you doing?" I exploded. "You guys seem to be a bit seriously injured. I'll give you some treatment." Looking at the Heavenly Sword sect and the Taiyan sect elders, their bodies were covered in blood and their auras were disordered. After Xiao Chen whispered, he came to a few people and raised his hand to burst out his cultivation points towards an elder of Heavenly Sword sect. This made the man's pupils shrink slightly, but he did not dare to resist at this time. He could only let Xiao Chen point at him. As the white light shines, Xiao Chen spent more than 2 million points, not only repairing the opponent's hidden injuries, but also raising the opponent's talent to supreme grade. Such an earth-shaking change instantly made the supreme powerhouse feel like he was struck by lightning, and he was stunned on the spot. In the blink of an eye, not only did he repair his hidden injury, but also improved his supreme talent. What exactly is this method? Little man Li He, thank you Lord Demon Lord for your great kindness. Feeling unbelievable and ecstatic in his heart, the supreme warrior knelt down in the void. There was still a touch of excitement and enthusiasm on his face. It was completely different from when I was forced to surrender just now, as if my whole family had died. At this moment, I surrendered completely willingly. This scene, all the other strong men on the side were stunned. The so-called Lord Demon Lord in front of me has only the 9th level of heaven and human realm. But with such a level of cultivation, he could subdue a powerful heavenly demon clan member and have Lu Shen follow him around. Even curing a supreme realm powerhouse with a raise of his hand. Jia, Lord Demon Lord is the supreme being in the Kinglan realm. The means he masters are beyond your imagination. Being able to become the humble slave of the Demon Lord is the greatest honor in your life. Seeing the shocked expressions on Luo Chenyi and others' faces, Tian Xie couldn't help bragging. Have to say, this powerful emperor from the heavenly demon tribe is indeed quite competent at being a bitch. The supreme existence of Kinglan realm. After hearing Tian Xia's words, Luo Chenyi and others were shocked, and they did not have any doubts at this time. After all, not to mention Xiao Chen, the demon lord, but Lu Ruoxian on the side. When this kind of strong man is at his peak, in the eyes of a few of them, he is a supreme existence. Xiao Chen ignored the fear in the hearts of these people and helped them repair their injuries as usual. And by the way, his talent was improved, allowing him to practice to the 9th level of supreme. After some operations, Luo Chenyi was all trembling with excitement, completely unable to believe that all of this was true. After reaching their point, only then can you understand that you want to improve your talents and break the original limitations. How difficult this is. Even if you pay a huge price, you may not get what you want. But this kind of hard-to-achieve improvement seems to be in vain in front of this Lord Demon Lord. Being able to repair the injuries of a supreme-level powerhouse so easily, and breaking through the limitations of talent without any hindrance, this Lord Demon Lord's methods are simply beyond recognition. Perhaps this surrender is not the beginning of a tragic fate, but a new turning point. As long as you can keep up with this improvement in law understanding in the future, you should have no problem reaching the 9th level of supreme. If you perform well in the future, I may be able to help you break through the emperor. When all the supremes were shocked, Xiao Chen's calm voice echoed. Next up is the Eastern Domain. Tian Xie and Lu Ruoxian's identities are both relatively sensitive, so he needs a group of supreme powerhouses to act as thugs, which is why he left these group of people alive. Give it a sweet slap, and then draw a pie. In addition, he controls the life and death of the other party, so these people can basically be used by him. 66%. Chapter 319. Within thousands of miles of Beast Mountain Range, the secret of the Emperor's ancient tomb. Help us break through to the emperor. After hearing these two words from Xiao Chen, Luo Chenyi and others were suddenly shocked. Emperor realm. At first glance, it doesn't look very far away from them. It only needs to break through a few small realms to reach it. But only they know. Breaking through every small realm after the supreme realm is extremely difficult. Not only does it require the support of strong enough true energy, but it also requires a strong enough understanding of the law. The improvement of each small realm is even more difficult than the breakthrough from the Saint King realm to the supreme realm. Not to mention if you want to break through from the supreme realm to the emperor realm, it is an insurmountable gap. Looking at the entire eastern domain, among the billions of living beings, there may be tens of thousands of supreme powerful people, or even more than 100,000. But the total number of all the powerful emperors would probably not exceed 300. Nearly 300 emperors can be born out of billions of creatures. One can imagine how difficult it is to achieve this state. But the demon lord in front of him dared to promise to help them break through. How much confidence do you have to say such crazy things? Jia, it is your honor as a slave to get a promise from Lord Demon Lord. You should be surprised and enthusiastic, not shocked and disbelieving. Seeing the reaction of Luo Chenyi and others, Tian Xie suddenly laughed strangely at the side. They were so frightened that they all trembled and quickly bowed to Xiao Chen. I thank you, Lord Demon. Xiao Chen just nodded slightly when he heard the words, and his thoughts swept through the hearts of these people. Looking at the countless resources in a single ring, a satisfied smile appeared on his face. With the selfless dedication of these people, the points will definitely be doubled in the future. You guys take this with you and return to the sect for now. I will give you instructions if necessary. After a brief investigation, Xiao Chen took out 2 space array discs and upgraded them to supreme grade. If it is a one-way fixed-point transmission, it is enough to span hundreds of millions of miles in a short time. Later, the 2 communication jade pendants were also upgraded to supreme grade. It was enough for the elders of these 2 forces to contact him from hundreds of millions of miles away. Then give these things to the Heavenly Sword Sect and the 8 Supremes of the Taiyan Gate. I think you should know better than me what to say and what not to say after we go back. I don't need to say more about this, right? Amid the horrified and disbelieving looks of several people, Xiao Chen reminded them in a low voice, which frightened the venerables into trembling. My subordinate understands. Without any hesitation, several elders from Heavenly Sword Sect and Taiyan Sect all answered in unison. After we return, we will report to the sect master, sect leader, that the 2 elders died at the hands of the Ming family, and we will never reveal anything about the demon lord. After saying that, the faces of several supreme powerhouses showed a look of fanaticism. They thought that Xiao Chen's method just now was shocking enough. Unexpectedly, that was just the tip of the iceberg for the other party. They actually saw. In one move, the opponent not only repaired the broken array, but also upgraded its quality to the supreme level. Even the heavenly rank level communication jade pendant can break the rules and improve its quality. This simply subverted their cognition. No wonder the other party can be called the Demon Lord, and there are 2 great emperors following him. With such a heaven-defying method, if anyone can hold on to this thigh tightly, what difficulty will it have to fly to the sky in the future? As for the 2 elders from the same sect, they can only be blamed for offending someone they shouldn't have offended. In the end, it was their own fault for their downfall. Well, you 2 major forces should go back first. When I set foot in the eastern domain, I will summon you again. When Xiao Chen heard this, he waved his hand and dismissed the 8 Supremes. Only Luo Chenyi and a few elders of Xingshan Pavilion were left. After learning that I had made a mistake, my classmate Medusa came out and asked me, saying that she had a mole under her left breast, why couldn't she recognize it? I was so angry that I wanted to verify it. Now you can tell me what you know. After the Supremes left, Xiao Chen turned around and said calmly. The remains of the Emperor's ancient tomb. Even in the 7 major territories of the Eastern Domain, this can make countless powerful people flock to it. After all, such ancient tomb ruins usually contain inheritance and good fortune, and even amazing tomb treasures. And the remains of the ancient tomb of the powerful emperor. No matter which force gets it, it will definitely skyrocket in the future. Even some emperor-level forces would be jealous of this kind of ancient tomb. Unexpectedly, the pavilion master of the Star Pavilion in front of me actually knew an ancient tomb of a powerful person in the Emperor realm, and it was also the remains of a powerful person from the 9-colored sky-swallowing python. If Kai Yan and Kai Dai can be obtained, their strength may change in a short time. To Lord Demon, The ruins of this ancient tomb were accidentally discovered by Xiao Xiao when he was hunting for treasure near the 100 Beasts Mountains more than 360 years ago. As he said that, Luo Chenyi couldn't help but glance at Lu Ruoxian. If that battle hadn't destroyed thousands of miles around, he might not have been able to discover that relic. Back then, there was a brutal battle between Master Lu Shen and the Lord of the Dark Forbidden Zone, which led to the collapse of the area thousands of miles around the 100 Beasts mountain range. At the end of the war, I boldly went deep into the war zone to see if I could gain anything. Unexpectedly, more than 6,800 miles away from the center of the battlefield, under a collapsed abyss, I found a rare 9-color light. At that time, I thought it was a treasure from heaven and earth, so I broke open the earth to find out. I didn't expect that when I went more than 500 feet into the ground, I discovered that it turned out to be a stone gate that was 100 feet high. There is a python-patterned stone pillar on the left and right sides of the stone gate, and the relief totem on it is the 9-color sky-swallowing python. The light that broke through the earth and rose into the sky. It was those two stone pillars that activated the protective light on their own in order to prevent the collapse of the earth from affecting that ancient tomb ruins. After that, I tried to break through the stone gate, but the power to hold it was too terrifying. I had no choice but to give up exploring this ruins and use divine ability to seal the stone gate. Speaking of which, Luo Chenyi glanced at the colorful smoke and colorful butterflies beside Xiao Chen, and continued in a very cautious voice. If I guess correctly, this should be an ancient tomb of inheritance. Only those who possess the bloodline of the sky-swallowing python family, and whose bloodline quality reaches 8 colors, can break through the restrictions of this ancient tomb with their bloodline. Although I don't know what's inside, it is definitely an unimaginable creation for the sky-swallowing python clan. After these words were finished, the atmosphere at the scene became solemn. Kai Yan and Kai Dai couldn't help clenching their fists, with a look of longing in their eyes. Although Xiao Chen is here, they will not be short of cultivation materials. They only need to practice step by step to improve their cultivation level step by step. But this improvement is still a bit too slow. Of course, compared to Xiao Chen's growth, it seems that he can't keep up. If they get the inheritance left by the powerful people of the sky-swallowing python clan, it will be enough for their cultivation to transform in a short time. This way, Xiao Chen won't be held back. You can even stand in front of Xiao Chen to protect him like before. Have the ruins of that ancient tomb not been discovered yet? Seeing Kai Yan and Kai Dai looking uneasy, even Lu Ruoxian on the side looked complicated. Xiao Chen asked in a low voice. No. After hearing Xiao Chen's words, Luo Chenyi quickly replied. That ancient tomb ruins were sealed by me with a formation diagram, and a trace of my soul mark remains on the formation. If the ruins erupt and the formation is broken, I can sense it. I used a formation to seal this ancient tomb ruins. I wanted to wait until I was strong enough to see if I could join forces with the powerful men from the sky-swallowing python clan to explore. Unexpectedly, this hesitation lasted more than 300 years. But now I can use this piece of information to gain some favor from Xiao Chen. It was also profitable for him. 66%. Chapter 320. I haven't seen you for a few days, but you are so flirtatious as soon as you meet me. Are you really not afraid of getting angry? Don't worry, since this ancient tomb ruins are related to the sky-swallowing python clan. After things settle down and my cultivation reaches the Saint Realm level, I will take you two to see it. After hearing Luo Chenyi's story, Xiao Chen said to Kai Yan and Kai Dai. Now that he has learned about the remains of the emperor's ancient tomb, Xiao Chen will naturally not let go of this opportunity, not to mention that it is related to his woman. But for now, they still have to wait until their cultivation reaches the Saint Realm and help Lu Ruoxian deal with the dark and ominous power, so that the group can venture into the eastern domain. After all, the 100 Beasts mountain range. This is already in the hinterland of the eastern domain, and there may be powerful people in the Emperor realm, so everything must be safe. Next, after learning about the ruins of the Emperor's ancient tomb, Xiao Chen and his party did not stay in the 10,000 demons cold abyss. Then he set off directly back to Dongyuan Huo's house. As for Luo Chenyi and his party, they naturally went with them. After all, this group of people are all proficient in astrological formations and will return to the Xiao family in Luyun City. You can let these people help arrange the formation. Hearing that I wanted to go to my sister-in-law for verification in the future, Medusa did not believe it and said that if I could deal with her, she would let me try the 2 worlds of ice and fire in the future. The other side. In the southern part of profound heaven, the Ming family. When Ming Yan's soul tablet shattered, a beam of light suddenly rose into the sky from the Ming family, and then turned into a stream of light and disappeared into the void. It was as if this stream of light contained some kind of information. It was breaking through the space barrier at an incredible speed and blasting towards the Kangshuan realm hundreds of millions of miles away. The head of the house, the old head of the house, and their group are all dead. Such movement. Naturally, everyone in the Ming family was alarmed. Ming Qiaifeng, the eldest elder of the Ming family, looked at the many shattered soul cards on the soul rack. His whole body felt as if he had been struck by lightning, and his face suddenly aged by more than 10 years. When Ming Yan and others were about to leave for the eastern wasteland, he felt a strong uneasiness in his heart. Although I had a premonition that this trip would be uneventful, I didn't expect it to be so tragic. All 7 of the Ming family's supreme powerhouses were wiped out in the eastern wasteland, including 2 top 7th-level supreme powerhouses. This is undoubtedly a disaster for the Ming family. Give me my order. The Ming family will be completely disbanded starting today. The major branches and core personnel will be transferred in accordance with the Tomorrow's Fire plan. No matter what happens to the Ming family from now on, all transfer personnel must remain anonymous. As this order echoed in the Ming family, all members of the Ming family felt that the sky was falling. For a while, the entire Ming family was panicked. Although they don't know exactly what happened, the horror must be far beyond their imagination. Ming familia. From now on, it should be removed from the southern part of profound heaven, unless something changes in the future. And when the Ming family was in turmoil, Xiao Chen and others returned directly to the Dongyuan Huo family after activating the space array. The young master is back. Seeing the double-headed demon dragon chariot suddenly appearing in the void, Huo Tianshang, Huo Xuanwu and others all looked excited. You must know that after seeing Xiao Chen kill the men of the 4 major forces, he didn't even think about running away. Instead, they had to stay in the 10,000 demons cold abyss, setting up a trap to wait and see, and the whole group was on tenterhooks. After all, now the Dongyuan Huo family and Xiao Chen are one. If something happens to the other party in the 10,000 demons cold abyss, the Dongyuan Huo family will only be destroyed. Fortunately, Xiao Chen and his team came back safely. Well, there's nothing serious about this trip, so don't worry. Seeing Huo Tianshang and others approaching with excited faces, Xiao Chen didn't put on any airs, so he replied with a slight smile. This approachable attitude made Luo Chenyi and others' eyes narrow. Obviously not expecting it. Not long ago, he was so cold and ruthless that he could decide their life or death with just a few words, scaring a bunch of supreme demon lords to kneel down and beg for mercy. There are times when he is so gentle. But the next moment, Luo Chenyi and others' eyes lit up and their breathing became rapid. Since this Lord Demon is not ruthless towards his own people, then if they are more sensible in the future, wouldn't they also have the opportunity to receive such treatment? Think of this. Luo Chenyi and others became increasingly excited and began to think crazily in their minds. Now their wealth has been handed over to Xiao Chen. If you want to further please the other party, you can only start from other aspects. Sir, I haven't seen you for a few days, but you are still so handsome. Even if Ling Ji is hundreds of feet away, it feels like there is a flame burning in her heart. Just when Luo Chenyi and others were thinking about it, a soft and charming voice suddenly came over. A woman with unparalleled beauty and a charming charm, like an enchantress and a succubus. He also walked towards Xiao Chen with a chuckle. When he came to Xiao Chen, he fell directly into his arms, which shocked Luo Chenyi and others. Yes, this is it. The demon lord doesn't even like supreme things, but he may not be uninterested in beautiful women. If it is in Xingshan Pavilion. If any woman is attracted by the demon lord, then Xingshan Pavilion will be expected to rise in the future. These old guys might even have a chance to be free. Become a real part of Xiao China's side. I haven't seen you for a few days. You are flirting with me as soon as you come up. Are you really afraid of getting angry? Hearing these soft and lustful words, and feeling the softness in his arms, even his breath was filled with the fragrance of a woman. Xiao Chen's heart was filled with evil fire, and he leaned over and whispered in the other person's ear. Ling Ji is a person who plays with fire, so why worry about causing fire and getting burned? In this life, Ling Ji only flirts with the young master. If she can make the young master burn with desire, he will fall under Ling Ji's skirt every day. Even if Ling Ji is playing with fire and burning herself, she will wrap up and warm the young master as much as she can. Huo Lingji smiled charmingly when she heard this. His fingers lightly traced Xiao Chen's face, and his words made people blush. Wow, sister, Lingji has become even more slutty after not seeing her for a few days. She is even more charming than Su Xin and Su Qin. Only sister Yulian can compare with her. When Kai Dai saw Huo Lingji's charming look, she was immediately stimulated and screamed. She also wanted to let Xiao Chen change her taste once in a while because she wanted to be as coquettish as the other person. But some time ago, after she tried to imitate it, she not only frightened Xiao Chen, but also made herself sick. Sure enough, everyone has his own personality and style. If you blindly imitate others, you will be inferior. But if you are born to be so charming and coquettish, you can really make countless women envy, and hate you. Quote. Kai Yan and Luo Yulian on the side looked helpless after hearing Kai Dai's words. Sir, let's go down below and talk. I have prepared a banquet at Huo's house. All kinds of delicacies will definitely satisfy the young master. Seeing Huo Lingji and Xiao Chen being so intimate, Huo Tianshang smiled from ear to ear. Although Huo Lingji is not his daughter, she is still a member of the Huo family. The closer the relationship between the other party and Xiao Chen is, the more likely the Huo family will grow in popularity. No, I have important matters to attend to, so it is inconvenient for me to stay in the Huo family for a long time. When Xiao Chen heard this, he waved his hand and directly rejected Huo Tianshang. Although the Ming family and his party have been killed, the supreme of the three major forces have been subdued. But what Ming Yan said before his death was obviously not a joke. So next, it is very likely that a strong man from the Great Desolation sect will come to visit him. His stay in the Huo family will undoubtedly only implicate the other party. It's urgent. Ida's better to go back to Xiao's house to settle everything first, and then seize the time to break through to Saint Realm. Then find a place and wait for the powerful enemy to come. When the thought falls, Xiao Chen said goodbye to Huo Tianshang, took Huo Lingji, Kaiyan and others, and teleported directly back to the Xiao family in Luyun City. Directly back to the Xiao family in Luyun City. Directly back to the Xiao family.